Pokémon, I became a Pikachu. Greetings, fellow multiversal adventurers. It's an honor to have you back in this saga that has us all hooked. Official channel statement, this story is 100% epic fiction, so please don't attempt real magic, the results aren't guaranteed and insurance won't cover it. The rights to this masterpiece belong entirely to its brilliant original author, we are just a barge sharing it with you. Do you want to keep being part of this amazing community? Join our ninja army of subscribers on YouTube and give this content a like. And for true fans, our Patreon has exclusive ninjutsu waiting for you. Chapter 326 Chickens Fighting Each Other. Scyther, use cut, Pidgeotto, use U-turn. As the battle began, the two flying Pokémon circled and weaved in the air, preparing to deliver a fatal blow to their opponent. Although Pidgeotto's flying normal typing was super effective against Scyther, it was clearly slower. Even though Ash's commands were correct, Scyther nimbly dodged every attack, then delivered a powerful blow to the clumsy creature. Damn it! Pidgeotto, use quick attack. Seeing Pidgeotto's feathers falling, Ash knew it was nearing its limit. Unable to catch up with Scyther's speed, the anxious Ash could only command Pidgeotto to use its signature move, quick attack, once again. Beep! Hearing Ash tell him to use his signature move, Pidgeotto didn't hesitate at all, instantly transforming into a bolt of lightning and shooting straight at Scyther. Scyther, use Shadow Clone. Seeing Pidgeotto's stance, Konoha knew that Scyther's speed was probably too slow to dodge. Therefore, Konoha didn't hesitate for a moment and immediately had Scyther use a defensive move. Shatter, with Konoha's command, Scyther instantly transformed into a phantom. Immediately afterwards, several phantoms identical to Scyther appeared in the sky at the same time. Beep beep, what the hell? Why are there so many? Which one am I supposed to fight? With the number of opponents suddenly increasing, the stubborn Pidgeotto was panicking. Whoosh! Unfortunately, quick attack had already been activated, and Pidgeotto had no chance to choose. With unstoppable momentum, it charged forward without hesitation. Pidgeotto charged headfirst into a phantom of Scyther. Haha! Time for our counterattack. Use backstab. Seeing Pidgeotto's attack miss, Konoha launched their counterattack. Pidgeotto, hang in there. Faced with this situation, Ash, having no other options, could only activate his cheering buff mode, hoping to provide some boost to Pidgeotto. Pikachu, boring. Watching the match, Mu Chen found it genuinely boring. A battle of weaklings. This was Mu Chen's assessment of the fight between Pidgeotto and Scyther. Pidgeotto, that blockhead, was already a top-tier weakling. And this Konoha, who boasted so much, was nothing special. Shadow Clone? What was that? Only 7 or 8 shadows, and they didn't even move with Scyther's movements. In Mu Chen's eyes, it was utterly pathetic. However, while Mu Chen found it boring, the spectators on the sidelines were watching with bated breath. Such an intense aerial battle is a rare sight. Finally, with a mournful cry from Pidgeotto, this clash of weaklings came to a conclusion. Damn it! Gardevoir, it's your turn. Despite having a type advantage, Pidgeotto couldn't even touch a hair on its opponent's head, and Ash was furious. However, turning his head and seeing that Pikachu still had no intention of joining the battle, Ash had no choice but to send Gardevoir in first. Serena, the elegant Gardevoir's appearance immediately drew enthusiastic cheers from the audience. Such a cool and aloof lady, regardless of her combat strength. If a single man could own one, wouldn't he be able to say goodbye to his fifth sister? Gardevoir? All show and no substance. Scyther, attack. Use Bug Bite. Seeing Ash send out Gardevoir, a hint of amazement flashed in Konoha's eyes. Damn it! Why did such an excellent Pokémon like Gardevoir fall into the hands of such an idiot? If I could have a Gardevoir, I would definitely spend every day and night with her, cultivating our bond and affection. Unable to obtain it, the jealous Konoha chose destruction. Since something beautiful isn't mine, then let's destroy it. With Konoha's command, Scyther charged forward, fiercely attacking Gardevoir. Gardevoir, use Psychic to control it. Seeing Scyther charging, Ash quickly reacted. Following Ash's command, Gardevoir stretched out her hand, and a visible wave of psychic energy rose from it, blasting towards Scyther. Suddenly controlled by psychic energy, Scyther was thrown into disarray. Enveloped in this psychic energy, Scyther couldn't even move or dodge, let alone continue its attack. Scyther, don't panic. Use Swords Dance to break free from the psychic control. Swords Dance is a power-up move with no offensive capabilities. However, as Swords Dance is used, Scyther's body will continuously spin. Konoha's plan was for Scyther to use Swords Dance to break free from the psychic restraints. Unfortunately, he overestimated his Scyther and underestimated Gardevoir. Despite Scyther's desperate struggles, its efforts were futile under the psychic restraints. Finally, as the psychic control intensified, Scyther could no longer withstand the pressure from the psychic power and was completely defeated. Well done, Gardevoir. Seeing Gardevoir so easily defeat its opponent, Ash became excited again. The quarterfinals didn't seem as difficult as he had imagined. Gardevoir was completely unconcerned about Ash's praise. After defeating Scyther, she turned to look at Pikachu perched on Ash's shoulder. The meaningful look in her eyes was immediately noticed by Mu Chen. Pika, what's the rush? It's just that there hasn't been a chance. If there were, wouldn't I challenge you to a duel? It's been so long, not only are you feeling frustrated, but I've been holding back too. Just bear with it, wait a few more days for another chance. Looking at this old woman's eyes, Mu Chen could only helplessly comfort her. Damn it, don't I want to? The problem is, it's in the player's rest area, I have no chance at all. Go, my second Pokémon, Gyarados. Despite Scyther's defeat, Konoha wasn't too upset. Instead, he summoned his second Pokémon with a cold smile. When he saw that Ash had summoned Gardevoir instead of Milotic, Konoha was already certain he would win the match. The water-themed field is his home turf. As for the troubled look he showed earlier after choosing the field, that was just him deliberately trying to lull Ash into a false sense of security. Now, Konoha has decided to win this match. Chapter 327 Konoha's Tactics. Gardevoir, use Psychic Beam. Ash's third match against Konoha began with the appearance of Gyarados. Seeing Konoha summon such a massive creature, Ash was understandably nervous. Normal terrain was fine, but this was a water-based terrain. In this water-based terrain, Gyarados' power increased exponentially. Therefore, facing this ferocious Gyarados, Ash chose to strike first. However, it was all for naught. Shanna, although Gardevoir tried its best to use its maximum power Psychic Beam, in this water-based terrain, Gardevoir's Psychic Beam couldn't even penetrate the water to directly attack Gyarados' body. Seeing Gardevoir's futile efforts, Konoha burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. Gyarados, now it's our turn. Ignore Gardevoir, destroy those floating platforms, destroy them one by one. This was Konoha's unwavering confidence. The terrain, of course, must be used strategically to maximize its advantages. On this water-based terrain, without the floating platforms, non-flying Pokémon wouldn't even have a place to land. Under such circumstances, how could Gyarados possibly lose? Even if Pikachu's final battle power was overwhelming, without a place to land, Konoha couldn't find any reason to lose. Roar, receiving Konoha's command, Gyarados shot out. In the water, Gyarados swung its massive body, and whenever it reached the foot of a platform, it would swing its huge tail or open its jaws to smash the platform. Damn it. Gardevoir, use Psychic. We can't let Gyarados keep destroying the platforms. Ash wasn't truly stupid. At least in terms of combat, Ash's intuition was very sharp. Seeing Gyarados' actions, Ash immediately guessed its plan. Just kidding, there aren't many platforms to begin with. If they're all destroyed, Gardevoir might be okay, as it can use its psychic powers to float briefly. But what about Pikachu? That thing can't fly or anything. Pika. Similarly, Mu Chen, perched on Ash's shoulder, was also tense. Gardevoir, come on, old lady. Don't let that ugly thing destroy all the platforms. Although Mu Chen's type is a hard counter to Gyarados, if he doesn't have a place to stand, you know, Mu Chen can't swim. The thought of fighting in the water without even a place to stand made Mu Chen feel terrible. Shanna, however, despite Gardevoir's great efforts, the number of floating platforms in the arena was still decreasing. Ha ha ha. Good. That's it. Gyarados, use Crunch to destroy that last floating platform. Finally, with Gyarados' continuous destruction, only one floating platform remained in the arena. Looking at the last platform Gardevoir was standing on, Konoha could already see the door to the final four slowly opening for them. Roar, at Konoha's command, Gyarados immediately darted through the water. Gardevoir, use Psychic to protect this floating platform. This was the last floating platform that Pokémon could use for leverage. If it broke, The non-flying Pokémon would have nowhere to land. Seeing this, Ash was extremely anxious. However, Konoha was single-mindedly sending the tough-skinned Gyarados to cause destruction, and Gardevoir was helpless against it. Gardevoir was considered above average in intelligence among Pokémon, and she understood the dire situation. However, against this powerful Gyarados, Gardevoir's psychic was slightly lacking. Crack, a loud crash. Finally, this last floating platform was destroyed by Gyarados' sharp teeth. Alright. Gyarados. Use Dragon Rage. Gardevoir, with nowhere to stand, was forced into the air. However, Gardevoir's flight relied on psychic powers, and its speed and agility were far inferior to flying-type Pokémon. Faced with Dragon Rage, Gardevoir's only option was teleport. Gyarados, use Tornado. Let's see where Gardevoir can hide now. With Dragon Rage missing, Konoha decisively changed tactics. The arena was limited. As Gyarados twisted its body, creating a massive tornado, Gardevoir's space was further compressed. Gardevoir, counterattack, use Psychic Beam. Previously, Gyarados had been hiding underwater, preventing Psychic Beam from reaching its full power. Now, to create the tornado, Gyarados finally surfaced, and Ash didn't hold back. Shanna, receiving Ash's command, Gardevoir stopped dodging. With a flick of her wrist, a swirling pink beam of light slammed into Gyarados. Roar, this time, without the water's obstruction, Gyarados took the full brunt of Gardevoir's Psychic Beam attack. Gyarados. A mere Psychic Beam? You can withstand that. Counterattack. Use Tornado to sweep it away, it has no room to dodge. Seeing Gyarados in pain, Konoha panicked. If Gyarados were to be defeated by Gardevoir, even with his last Pokémon, he might not be able to defeat Pikachu. After all, Pikachu had caused quite a stir, and Konoha couldn't deny his concern. Roar, receiving its trainer's command, Gyarados let out an angry roar. Then, Gyarados braced itself against the damage from the Psychic Beam, violently swinging its massive head. With a swing of Gyarados' head, the wildly spinning tornado suddenly changed direction, hurtling towards Gardevoir. Sarika, all dodging space was blocked, even teleport couldn't find a safe landing spot. Finally, Gardevoir let out a painful cry. Damn it! Gardevoir, you've suffered. Pikachu, it's all up to you now. At this moment, Konoha had 2 Pokémon left, including Gyarados. Ash only had Pikachu left. In a normal battle arena, Ash would be absolutely confident. However, in this water-themed arena, even Ash's inexplicable confidence began to slowly diminish. After all, Ash knew very well how bad Pikachu was at swimming. Chapter 328 Mu Chen's Coping Strategy. Pikachu, damn it. How am I supposed to fight this? Standing at the edge of the arena, watching the entire arena filled with water, with absolutely no place to stand, Mu Chen's head was buzzing. Damn it, at least give me a place to stand. Ha ha ha. What? Scared? If you're scared, then just admit defeat. Pikachu didn't enter the arena, and Konoha laughed arrogantly. His tactics were indeed flawless. What Pikachu? What attack power comparable to a champion? What's the point? You don't even have a place to stand, so what if your Pikachu is fierce? Pikachu, damn it? What are you talking about? Scared? What a joke. Me, scared? Hearing Konoha's idiotic mockery, Mu Chen got angry. Damn it. I just don't want my beautiful fur to get wet. Damn, does he really think he's a fighter? Surrender's out of the question for Mu Chen. What else is there to say? Electric. Battle, Pikachu. Use. You're free to improvise. Seeing Pikachu enter the arena, Ash immediately became excited. However, before Ash could even give an attack command, he saw that the previously proud and arrogant Pikachu had turned into a yellow mouse splashing around in the water. In this situation, Ash genuinely didn't know how to command Pikachu. In this situation, it's best to let it figure it out itself. Of course, Ash wasn't giving up. It's just that Ash was already used to Pikachu ignoring his commands and fighting on its own. Gyarados, charge. Use Crunch. Take down that yellow mouse that fell into the water. Seeing the Pikachu struggling in the water, Konoha felt even more confident. This time, he was determined to win no matter what. Of course, it wasn't just Konoha who thought this way. Most of the spectators on the sidelines and even the league's top officials in the Tower of Tenno shared the same opinion. It's over. It's all over. I bet on Ash from Pallet Town to win. Exactly. Who would have thought he'd draw such a terrain? Ash, he had melodic, why didn't he choose it? Oh dear, I was actually hoping Ash would win the league championship. It seems this league tournament is really tough. Even if your Pokemon is incredibly strong, without terrain advantage, you probably won't be able to unleash its full power. What a pity, what a real pity. Looking at Pikachu struggling in the water, most of the spectators had already decided on the final outcome of the match. How could a Pikachu that clearly doesn't know water-type moves and can only float and paddle in front of it possibly be a match for Gyarados in this water arena? Moreover, the Konoha player still had one Pokemon that hadn't even appeared yet. Unexpectedly, Konoha actually took advantage of the terrain. Hell, it's Ash's fault. If he had told Gardevoir to give up and sent Pikachu directly, the result might not have been like this. Unbelievable. This little guy we all had high hopes for actually lost here. Inside the Elite Four Tower, the league's higher-ups were also commenting on this highly anticipated battle. At this moment, most of them, like the spectators, had made their judgment on the outcome of this match. Pikachu can't even swim, how can it fight Gyarados? However, they didn't know Mu Chen's powerful desire to win. Roar, looking at the Gyarados roaring and constantly approaching him, a cold smile appeared on Mu Chen's lips. Stupid bastard, you really think I have no way? Yes. I can't swim, but I'm still more than enough to crush you. Pikachu. Without any hesitation, electricity began to surge violently on Mu Chen's cheeks while he was in the water. Zzzzzzz. A burst of electricity erupted. 100,000 volts was unleashed, its target the pool where Mu Chen was. Water conducts electricity. Even diluted by the water flow, the power of the 100,000 volts would be weakened. However, it was more than enough to deal with Gyarados, its natural counter. Gyarados is a water flying type. Both water and flying types are weak to electric. With both types weak to Gyarados, its resistance to electric moves was predictable. Roar, Gyarados, which had been charging forward with great speed, suddenly saw the yellow rat seemingly going berserk, electrocuting the pool. It was completely bewildered. What was going on? Had this yellow rat gone mad? What was it doing? Who the hell could it possibly electrocute by electrocuting the pool? However, with Gyarados' limited intelligence, how could it possibly understand? Even Gyarados, its trainer Konoha, and most of the spectators couldn't understand Pikachu's purpose. In this world, most people only knew how to command Pokemon in battle. At most, they knew about type advantages and disadvantages. Such scientific questions were too distant for the average person. Even if they knew this common knowledge, few would think to utilize it in Pokemon battles. The people of this world had fixed mindsets and rigid thinking. After all, this world was different from Mu Chen's previous life. In this world, most people relied on Pokemon for help in both life and work. Of course, it wasn't that no one understood. At least, those who conducted scientific research knew that water could conduct electricity. Similarly, the high-ranking members of the Uranus Tower also realized it. Clever. This Pikachu is really clever, that's right. I never imagined that this Pikachu could even think of conducting electricity through water. Although this will reduce the power a lot, at least it's not completely helpless. I never thought a Pokemon could have such intelligence. Is this even a Pokemon? Seeing that Pikachu could come up with a solution so quickly, the high-ranking officials all praised it. Even inexperienced trainers, like that Konoha, would never have thought of using this method to fight. Zzzzzzz. Zzzzzzz. As electricity continued to spray from Mu Chen's cheeks, sparks of electricity began to leap and roll in the water around him. Chapter 329 Dragon King. Roar, Gyarados' painful howl suddenly rang out. This howl was mixed with boundless panic and utter confusion. No matter how Gyarados tried to think, it couldn't understand how it had been electrocuted. What the hell? What's going on? I was charging along just fine. That yellow rat couldn't even touch me. It was just randomly throwing electric shocks at the pool, wasn't it? How did it electrocute me? Damn it. What happened? Why is this happening? Similarly, not only Gyarados was confused, but Konoha was also completely bewildered. Pikachu clearly hadn't attacked Gyarados, so why was it struck by electricity the moment it got close? Referee. This isn't fair. This Pikachu cheated. Yes, that must be it. It cheated. It used one of those restricted super moves. After much fruitless thought, the only answer Konoha could come up with was that this Pikachu had cheated. If it hadn't used those restricted super moves, how could it have attacked Gyarados? Konoha, please take the competition seriously. Pikachu didn't violate any rules. It simply kept using Thunderbolt to attack the pool, thus filling the water around it with enough electric energy. Gyarados rushed into Pikachu's electric net and was defeated. It's not surprising, as the referee of the tournament, he certainly had that much insight. Hearing Konoha's question, the referee coldly replied, "Don't treat others like idiots, okay? Cheating? Which eye of yours saw Pikachu cheat? What? How is this possible?" Hearing the referee's reply, Konoha was stunned. Could it be done like that? By attacking the pool, constantly filling it with electricity? And then using the water flow to conduct electricity and defeat his Pokémon? What kind of insane operation is this? Konoha originally thought his strategy of destroying the floating platform was already impressive enough. Compared to Pikachu, his own behavior was utterly pathetic. Konoha player, please send out your last Pokémon immediately. If you don't send out a new Pokémon, we will consider you to have forfeited. Seeing this idiot Konoha still posing and feigning shock, the referee grew impatient. What a joke. As the referee, he had bet heavily on Pikachu in this match. He had tried countless times to stop the damage to the arena, but since it was within the rules, he was powerless. He had initially thought he was going to suffer a huge loss, but Pikachu had unexpectedly performed admirably. Now, seeing a chance to break even or even make a small profit, the referee certainly wouldn't tolerate Konoha's bad behavior. What the hell? Who are you trying to scare with that afro? Damn it. Gyarados, come back. My last Pokémon, go battle. Kingdra, hearing the referee's urging, a helpless Konoha could only recall the convulsing Gyarados. With a swift movement, Konoha summoned his final Pokémon, Kingdra. Kingdra is the final evolution of Horsea. Before evolving, Horsea was a weakling. But after evolving into Kingdra, it became a formidable opponent. Its type is Water plus Dragon. Dragon-type Pokémon are synonymous with power. With a Dragon type, Kingdra is no longer afraid of electric and grass-type attacks, greatly increasing its resistance. Moreover, its base stats are comparable to, and perhaps even slightly surpass, those of starter Pokémon. Beep, with Konoha's summoning, a massive, nearly 2-meter-long seahorse-shaped Pokémon with a serious expression appeared in the pool. This was Konoha's most powerful Pokémon. Kingdra. Pikachu. Use Thunderbolt again to attack the pool around you. Seeing Mu Chen summon his Pokémon, Ash immediately gave him the command. Previously, Ash couldn't think of a way to deal with Gyarados. Now, seeing Pikachu defeat Gyarados by using water to conduct electricity, Ash suddenly found a way to win. No matter what it is, Kingdra, just keep letting Pikachu generate electricity. Pika Pika, damn it. Do you think my electricity is unlimited? This area is nearly 1,000 square meters. How difficult is it to electrify all the water? Mu Chen wasn't even sure if the amount of electricity in his body could accomplish such an impossible feat. However, it was indeed as Ash said. Besides this method, Mu Chen really didn't have any other way to deal with Kingdra. In this pool, Mu Chen's speed was completely useless. At this moment, the only thing he could do was transform himself into a stationary power plant, constantly injecting electricity into the water. If Kingdra could withstand the electricity and attack him, then Mu Chen would be in trouble. HMPH. Trying to use that trick again? I won't fall for it twice. Kingdra, use Hydro Pump. Knowing that the water near Pikachu was filled with electricity, Konoha certainly wouldn't let Kingdra rush in like Gyarados and become easy prey. Its solution was a ranged attack. Pikachu, hydroelectricity, whatever. I'll just use water bubble from a distance and see what you can do. Peek. Receiving Konoha's command, Kingdra let out a roar. Immediately, a huge stream of water gathered in front of Kingdra. Boom, the massive water cannon was unleashed by Kingdra, its target being Pikachu, who was splashing around in the pool. Pikachu. Watch out for Kingdra's attack. Dodge. Ash was shocked to see his opponent switch to ranged attacks. How would Pikachu react to if Kingdra didn't come closer? Pika, damn it. Is this really necessary? Staring at the massive water cannon, 2 or 3 meters in diameter, Mu Chen frantically switched to doggy paddle mode. High-speed movement boosted his power. I'll paddle. Mu Chen knew that if he got hit head-on by this thing, his small frame would basically be out of the game. Losing the game wasn't the problem, but failing to complete the system mission would cost him his life. That was something Mu Chen absolutely couldn't accept. Chapter 330 Electric Tornado. Boom, Pikachu. Although Mu Chen tried his best to dog paddle, he was still hit by Kingdra's powerful water cannon. The intense impact hit him, and all Mu Chen could do was howl in pain. Damn it. It hurts so much. You son of a bitch, do you dare let me get ashore? If I get ashore, I'll electrocute you. Wait? No. Holy crap. Suddenly, Mu Chen realized that he didn't seem to be in the water at all. Being hit by the water cannon, Mu Chen was naturally thrown into the air by the powerful airflow. Although this made Mu Chen suffer unbearable pain, at the same time, Mu Chen finally left the pool he hated so much. Damn it. Counterattack. Pikachu, realizing that he was out of the pool, Mu Chen didn't bother to adjust his position and fired a 100,000-volt attack at Kingdra. Sizzle, however, that wasn't enough. Before it hit the water, Mu Chen frantically unleashed a barrage of thunderbolts. One after another. Finally, Mu Chen used the gap in the air to launch 3 thunderbolts. Beat. Caught off guard by Pikachu's sudden counterattack, Kingdra was immediately hit. Although Kingdra had gained resistance to electric-type moves thanks to its dragon type, it was still hampered by its water type. This meant that Kingdra was also defenseless against electric-type moves. One thunderbolt pierced its body, and Kingdra let out a painful hiss. However, before Kingdra could recover from the electric shock-like sensation, 2 more thunderbolts arrived, doubling the so-called pleasure. Well done, Pikachu. Keep attacking. Ash was initially very nervous when he saw Pikachu being blasted away. Unexpectedly, Pikachu seized the opportunity to counterattack, retaliating with 3 times the attack power against Kingdra. Seeing Kingdra roaring in pain, Ash was excited. It seemed there was still a chance to win. This Pikachu's intelligence? No. This isn't Pikachu anymore. Even my Dragonite doesn't have such outstanding reaction speed. Yes, even my Jengar, which is supposedly the closest to human intelligence, probably can't reach this level. Ash saw hope for victory, but the high-ranking members watching from inside the Elite Four Tower had a different perspective. What they valued was still Pikachu's unparalleled intelligence and unmatched reaction speed. Generally speaking, in such a disadvantageous situation, let alone Pokémon, how many humans could seize an opportunity that wasn't a genuine chance to launch a counterattack against Kingdra? Moreover, this counterattack was a double blow. Damn it. Kingdra, use Tornado. Blow that Pikachu to death. It was supposed to be a dominant situation, but who would have thought that Pikachu could launch a counterattack against Kingdra under these circumstances? Seeing Kingdra's pained expression and hearing its agonizing roars, Konoha panicked. If this continued, could their Kingdra win? Therefore, this time Konoha abandoned the idea of Kingdra using Hydro Pump and switched to Tornado. Although Tornado's power wasn't as strong as Hydro Pump, it depended on the situation. In the confined space of the arena, once the Tornado was activated, Pikachu could only struggle and eventually perish within it. Gardevoir had been defeated in the same way before. B-Touch, receiving Konoha's command, Kingdra roared to the sky. Immediately, a huge tornado suddenly rose up and rushed towards Pikachu. Pikachu, what the hell? How am I supposed to deal with this? Watching the tornado, which had whipped up countless pools of water, rush towards him, Mu Chen was speechless. He couldn't even dodge a water cannon. How was he supposed to avoid this? Clearly, facing this tornado, Mu Chen truly had no way to escape. Damn it, I'll fight to the death. Since he couldn't avoid it, Mu Chen gave up on the idea of dodging. It's just a tornado, right? I don't believe you can kill me. Come on. I'll take it head on. With no way to avoid it, Mu Chen became ruthless. He couldn't afford to lose this match. Faced with this situation, Mu Chen's only choice was to confront this Kingdra head-on. Whoosh whoosh, sizzle, as the tornado reached Mu Chen, he desperately used Thunderbolt. Although Thunderbolt couldn't defeat a weather move like a tornado. But what Mu Chen wanted was to channel 100,000 volts of electricity into the tornado. Pikachu, finally, after Mu Chen used several 100,000 volts, the tornado arrived, and Pikachu's golden figure instantly disappeared into the massive tornado. Seeing this, Ash was immediately anxious. Unfortunately, he was powerless at this moment. Ha ha ha. Well done, Kingdra, keep it up, don't let the tornado stop. Seeing the tornado successfully lift Pikachu, Konoha was naturally the most excited. The door to victory had slowly opened. Sizzle sizzle, crackling. However, Konoha quickly learned what it meant to be overjoyed. The still spinning tornado suddenly changed. Originally, this tornado was a pure whirlwind mixed with a pool water in the arena. However, after Pikachu was drawn into the tornado, it gradually became electrified as it spun. This was because Mu Chen had desperately used 100,000 volts, infusing it with electric-type power. What's going on? Kingdra, stop the tornado. Finally, Konoha noticed a change in the situation. Looking at the crackling tornado mixed with countless currents, Konoha panicked. Crackling sound. However, something even more alarming happened to Konoha. Kingdra was completely bewildered. What's going on? I already stopped the tornado. Why is it still blowing? And why is it coming at me? Kingdra had indeed stopped the tornado. But the one spinning in the arena now was no longer the tornado Kingdra had used before. Now, this spinning tornado was an electric tornado completely altered by Mu Chen through continuous injection of electricity. Although Mu Chen was already dizzy and disoriented from the wind, he gritted his teeth and persevered in order to win, complete the mission, and save his life. Dragon King? Let's try this move. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331 The King's Thoughts. Whoosh whoosh, crackling, a violent gale arose, accompanied by flashes of lightning and thunder. Crackling, seeing the massive electric tornado hurtling towards it like a natural disaster, the spiked Dragon King panicked terribly. However, just as it had done to Mu Chen before, within the limited space of the arena, it had no way to avoid the massive electric tornado. Although Mu Chen was also being injured within the tornado, this was merely damage from the tornado itself. The far more terrifying electric energy within was completely ineffective against Mu Chen. Mu Chen could ignore the electric energy, but the spiked Dragon King could not. Finally, under the onslaught of the electric tornado, the spiked Dragon King, with nowhere to escape, was hit. Crackling, a pitiful scream escaped from the spiked Dragon King's mouth. Kingdra, Konoha was completely dumbfounded to see Kingdra being tossed around by the tornado and constantly attacked by electricity. Why was this happening? Everything was fine before, wasn't it? Wasn't I about to win? How did things suddenly turn out like this? What is this Pikachu? How could it possibly withstand the tornado and even turn the tables with electricity? But how could Konoha know that Mu Chen was using electric energy to help him in the tornado? Relying on his immunity to electric attacks, after releasing dozens of 100,000 volts, he relied on the currents to maintain his balance. Otherwise, it would have been hard to say who would win or lose. Let's cheer! The winner of this match is Ash from Pallet Town. Finally, the electric tornado gradually stopped. Looking at the completely stunned Kingdra and the half-conscious Pikachu, the referee happily made the final ruling. Pikachu's awesome. I didn't lose money, ha ha ha, yay. Awesome. Pikachu, we won. We're in the semifinals. As the referee's words faded and the water in the arena receded, Ash excitedly rushed into the arena and hugged the wobbly, unstable Pikachu tightly. This victory propelled Ash into the semifinals. With just 2 more matches, Ash could challenge for the Ultimate League Championship. In the Kanto region, the winner of the league tournament isn't automatically the champion. The winner must then embark on the road to champion. Along this path, the winner must challenge the Elite Four, culminating in a final battle against the previous champion. Only by winning all 4 can one become the true champion. Otherwise, they are merely the league tournament champion, not the Kanto champion. These are 2 completely different concepts. Of course, aside from the veteran champions who need to maintain their position, the Elite Four won't use their full power. At most, they would send some second-tier Pokémon to test the challenger. Pikachu, damn it. I wasn't blown to death by the tornado, but I'm going to be strangled by you, you idiot. Mu Chen's victory wasn't easy. Due to the limitations of the arena and the league's restrictions on his super move, Mu Chen was completely unable to use Charge Up. The power of his pre-charge move was far less than after the boost. Furthermore, in this purely water-type arena, with nowhere to land, Mu Chen's speed advantage was completely useless. He was only able to defeat Kingdra thanks to sheer willpower. At this moment, Mu Chen was completely exhausted. His stamina, energy, and even the electricity in his body had reached their limits. Looks like no one can stop Ash from winning the championship. Yes. Of the remaining contestants, only Hiroshi can still cause this kid some trouble. But judging from the current situation, it's just a bit of trouble. So, when this kid successfully wins the championship and embarks on the road to victory, should we still follow the old rules? Inside the Elite Four tower, several Elite Four members standing at the pinnacle of the league were also discussing the constantly celebrating Ash. Although this guy might seem a bit dim-witted, you can't deny his Pokémon are incredibly powerful. Ash's other Pokémon are fine, but the problem is Pikachu. In the eyes of these Elite Four members, this Pikachu is practically a bug. A Pokémon that could be their main force in their own hands. Sending it to participate in the league championship is just bullying. It is precisely for this reason that the Elite Four members unanimously decided to restrict the use of Pikachu's high-powered moves. To put it bluntly, the league championship is still primarily about performance and participation from all. If Ash were to crush everyone and win the championship, it wouldn't be a good thing for the league. This kid's situation is different. In my opinion, we can't hold back this time on the road to the championship. At the very least, everyone needs to send out one of their main Pokémon. That way, we can better test this Pikachu's limits. Right. Hearing Sheba's question, Agatha quickly chimed in. For Agatha, whether Ash became the champion wasn't important. After all, the championship was just a title. The real power in the league was still in the hands of the Elite Four. If they could use this opportunity to test Pikachu's strength, to discover all of Pikachu's abilities and weaknesses, that would be the most important thing for Agatha. Even now, Agatha hadn't given up on taking this Pikachu. Giving up now was only because the league championship was attracting so much attention. After the league championship ended, after everyone's enthusiasm had subsided, that would be the time for Agatha to make her move. Should each of us contribute one of our main Pokémon? That would be good. Samurhench is getting old, it's time for him to retire. Hopefully, Ash won't let us down. Hearing Agatha's suggestion, Lance, the leader of the Elite Four, nodded in agreement. His plan had changed. If they wanted to win Ash over, they needed to at least know the guy's limits, right? Perfect. That old Samurhench had been champion for too many years and had gradually slipped out of the Elite Four's control. He'd even gone so far as to become some kind of honorary chairman of the Olympic Committee. This was intolerable to Lance. Now, with Ash's presence, many things could change. Simply becoming the #1 Pokémon in the Kanto region and the champion of the Johto region wasn't enough for Lance. Chapter 332 Misunderstanding caused by saliva. Pikachu, the road to champions? Elite Four challenge? And another champion challenge? Holy crap. What the hell is this? The system didn't tell me. Is this never going to end? At this moment, Mu Chen secretly admired his decision not to kill Aju and instead capture this guy. If he hadn't captured Aju, how could he have discovered this confidential information that ordinary people couldn't access? Looking at Lingzi, who was kneeling on the ground reporting to him, Mu Chen fell into deep thought. The main quest given by the system was to help Xiao this idiot, become the champion. But the question is this champion just the league tournament champion, or the real Kanto champion? After hearing Lingzi's explanation, Mu Chen also understood that these two champions were not the same thing at all. The league tournament champion was just a show, something to fool the public and entertain children. The Kanto champion was the real champion who could have certain rights and benefits. However, at this moment, Mu Chen was confused. If it were the league tournament champion, that would be fine. He could complete the task in 2 more days, and his strength would likely improve significantly. But what about the Kanto champion? This is insane. The road to the champion. Challenging the Elite Four. And then he has to challenge some damn veteran champion? Anyone can imagine, this road to the champion is anything but easy. However, no matter how much Mu Chen asked, the system still didn't give him a clear answer. Even the hidden quest, Mu Chen still didn't understand. Was the final boss Kikuko, or Lance the Dragon? A sudden exclamation interrupted Mu Chen's thoughts. Looking at Lingzi's flushed face, Mu Chen slowly withdrew his short hand. It was an unavoidable habit. Once Mu Chen fell into thought, his short hand would always unconsciously fumble and need something. Pikachu, Ash, that idiot, wasn't asleep yet, and Mu Chen certainly wouldn't let Lingzi stay for him to take advantage of. What if Ash saw this? How would he explain? Watching Lingzi leave with regret, Mu Chen pursed his lips in resentment. Damn it, little wench, just you wait, when I can transform into human, I'll eat you up sooner or later. Respected gentlemen and ladies, trainers of the league, welcome to the Kanto Region League Tournament. Now, we are in the semi-finals, the Final Four. This Final Four match is between Ash from Pallet Town and Nina from Twin Islands. Now, let us welcome our two trainers, having spent the night in silence. Mu Chen, his eyes bloodshot, and Ash, still in a state of excitement, stepped onto the stage for the Final Four. Even as the host gave his enthusiastic introduction, Mu Chen continued to yawn. Damn it, don't torture me with your excitement. I haven't slept a wink all night. At least I could admire Misty's pretty face while staring at her all night. But tossing me through the night with this idiot, I can't take it anymore. Because of his successful advancement to the semifinals, Ash was completely in a state of euphoria. And Ash's euphoria, naturally, meant suffering from Mu Chen. This tormented the idiot all night, and Mu Chen was in a very bad mood. Ash, I heard your Pikachu is very strong, so let me see for myself today. A charming female voice rang out, instantly waking Mu Chen from his half-asleep state. Looking up, Mu Chen was also excited. Damn. A short skirt, big waves. Swaying and turning, it looked amazing. Looking at the charming young lady in front of him, Mu Chen immediately perked up. However, because Mu Chen had been exhausted from several meals, he already had drool in his mouth. Now, seeing Nina, drool unconsciously dripped from the corner of his mouth. Because the live stream screen was 360 degrees unobstructed, Mu Chen's state was immediately seen by the audience at the sidelines. An ordinary viewer wouldn't think much of a Pikachu drooling. But Xiaoxia, who knew this guy's nature very well, was extremely angry. Bastard. That wretched bastard. Only a few days apart, and you've already become so arrogant? You drool over someone dressed modestly? That's too much. I've never seen you drool over me. In her anger, Xiaoxia's hands clenched tightly. Cool, right, the one bearing the brunt of Xiaoxia's rage was naturally that idiot Sidnuk. Because of her previous experience of being ambushed, Xiaoxia had kept Sidnuk by her side during the days Pikachu was away. Although this guy was a bit stupid, as long as a brick was always ready, Sidnuk could still unleash considerable power. Unlike Xiaoxia's anger, the Elite Four members watching the battle from inside the Tower of Kings were amused. This Pikachu is really something else, a Pokemon that's interested in human beauties, especially a Pikachu, that's really rare. That's unheard of. If I hadn't observed this Pikachu for a while, I wouldn't have believed it at all. Looking at the drool at the corner of Pikachu's mouth, the Elite Four members naturally knew the reason. However, Hiba and Lorelei, who were teasing Pikachu, were unaware that behind them, Agatha and Lance were deep in thought. It seemed that this Pikachu's weakness was beautiful women. Should I, this old lady, put some effort into this, maybe use a honey trap? Perhaps, by sending a few beauties out, Pikachu would willingly come to its side? Knowing Pikachu's extremely high intelligence, Agatha didn't believe that Ash, that simpleton, could control him. Just kidding, trainers are ranked. Even Ash, at his current level, struggled to command Melodic. What ability did he have to command an Elite Four level being like Pikachu? Like Agatha Christie, Lance was also considering the feasibility of using a honey trap. Of course, Lance wasn't as impatient as Agatha Christie. As long as he could win Ash over, the effect would be the same. But the question was, if a honey trap worked on Pikachu, what about Ash? He figured it would probably work too. After all, Ash was Pikachu's trainer. If that was true for Pokémon, wouldn't it be true for their trainers as well? As for why Ash hadn't shown it yet, Lance believed the real reason was the Pokémon League. Otherwise, why would Ash bring such a beautiful girl like Misty along on his trip? Something was wrong. Definitely something was wrong. The more Lance thought about it, the more he felt like he had found a door to success. Chapter 333 Nina's Pidgeot. Alright. The Pokémon for both contestants have been registered, and the arena has been successfully drawn. Now, let's hand over the arena to the two contestants. With a host's command, Ash and Nina's semi-final match officially began. Because he drew an unlucky water-type arena in the previous round, Ash didn't dare to try any fancy tricks this time. Melodic, Gardevoir, and Pikachu were undoubtedly the three strongest Pokémon. However, the arena Ash drew this time was nothing unusual. It was just a very ordinary arena, a balanced arena. Go, Gardevoir, the first match is yours. Ash naturally preferred arenas with no terrain advantages. At least, battling in such an arena meant he didn't have to think about other factors. In comparison, Ash, being the simpleton he is, still preferred straightforward battles. Gardevoir? Then you'll be the first to battle, Pidgeot. Seeing that Ash had sent out Gardevoir, Nina didn't stand on ceremony. With a wave of her hand, a giant Pidgeot, over 1.5 meters long, appeared in the sky above the arena. Pidgeot, compared to Pidgeotto, Pidgeot appeared much more magnificent. Its shape and its vibrant feathers spoke volumes about how well its trainer had raised it. Gardevoir used Psychic. Without the interference of the arena, Ash didn't consider anything else and immediately gave Gardevoir the attack command. Shanna, with Ash's command, Gardevoir waved her hand, and a spiraling pink aura shot towards Pidgeot. Little brother, today I'm going to teach you a lesson so you know that Pokemon battles aren't just about attack skills. Pidgeot, use agility. Facing Ash's aggressive attack, Nina remained completely calm. As the tournament progressed, these contestants had already gained a good understanding of each other, both in terms of their preferred Pokemon and tactics. Of course, this didn't include Ash, that simpleton. He was basically spending all his time in excitement. The only Pokemon Nina was wary of facing Ash was Pikachu. As for Gardevoir, Milotic, and other Pokemon, Nina considered them just filler. Defeating them would be a piece of cake. Pidgeot, following Nina's command, Pidgeot, hovering in the air, instantly accelerated, dodging Gardevoir's psychic beam with a sidestep. Good job. Now it's our turn to attack. Pidgeot, use Hurricane. Seeing Pidgeot easily dodge Gardevoir's attack, Nina didn't hesitate to issue a counter-attack command. Beep beep, with a flap of its massive wings, gusts of wind rose from Pidgeot's flapping wings. Gardevoir, let's not back down. Use Psychic to control its gale. As the battle continued, Ash became completely absorbed. This was the battle Ash had been hoping for. This was the stage Ash had been longing for. Pikachu, Ash was excited, but Mu Chen was oblivious. He had been momentarily amazed by Nina when he first saw her. But after seeing her so many times, she was nothing special. After all, she wasn't going to come up and let him touch her. Just looking at her was child's play for Mu Chen, holding no appeal whatsoever. Having lost interest in Nina, the Pokemon battles on the field became utterly uninteresting, and Mu Chen once again entered a semi-conscious state. Damn it, if he didn't replenish his energy soon, how was he going to fight the next battle? Having only watched 2 rounds, Mu Chen had already roughly judged the outcome of the match. Gardevoir would likely have a hard time defeating this Pidgeot. Putting everything else aside, once Pidgeot uses agility, its speed is beyond Gardevoir's reach. As long as Nina doesn't make a foolish mistake, Pidgeot has absolutely no chance of losing. If Gardevoir loses, Milotic, whose attack power is even weaker than Gardevoir's, will have wasted its time. To put it bluntly, while Milotic is powerful, her development path is somewhat unbalanced. Offensively, Milotic is a complete novice. Her strength lies entirely in defense. Whether it's Milotic's inherent high resistance and stamina, or her almost broken self-healing ability, both give Milotic incredible endurance. However, having endurance without offensive power makes defeating an opponent difficult. Sarah, as expected. After a few rounds, Gardevoir's scream rang out, signaling the end of the match. Facing the incredibly fast Pidgeot, Gardevoir, despite having instant transmission, was completely unable to attack its opponent. With Pidgeot relentlessly wearing down its opponent, Gardevoir, despite its resentment, could only helplessly accept defeat. Damn it. Gardevoir, you've worked hard. Milotic, this round is up to you. Gardevoir was defeated, Pikachu yawned incessantly, and Ash, having no other choice, could only send Milotic, the old lady, to take the lead. Ha ha ha. Little brother, you'd better send out Pikachu quickly, or you won't have a chance. Seeing that Ash's second Pokemon was Milotic, Nina was overjoyed. As long as Pidgeot defeated this Milotic, its mission would be complete. Her remaining 2 Pokemon would be enough to deal with that Pikachu. HMPH. Don't underestimate my Milotic. Use Water Pulse. Facing an opponent circling in the sky, Milotic didn't have many offensive options. However, releasing Water Pulse, which was even slower than Psychic, was simply constantly draining Milotic's stamina. Pikachu, you idiot, what the hell are you doing? Can't you even play defense and counter-attack? Seeing Ash actually being provoked into attacking by Nina, Mu Chen was speechless. If Milotic had focused on defense, Pidgeot wouldn't have had a good chance against her. After all, Milotic's physique was what it was, and Pidgeot's attack power was just so-so. But who would have thought that after a few words of provocation, Ash would switch to offensive mode? Seeing this situation, Mu Chen knew that he probably wouldn't have much time to rest. Damn it, do you think it's easy for me? But Mu Chen, who was just complaining, didn't know that if things had gone according to the normal anime progression, Ash would have been eliminated long ago. By getting this far, he had already changed the history of the original world. Chapter 334 The Earthquake After Nido. Damn it. Pikachu, I choose you. As expected, Ash once again recalled his exhausted Milotic with a frustrated expression. Although Nina's Pidgeot wasn't in great shape either, at least it was still active in the arena, right? At this moment, Ash could only place all his hopes on Pikachu. If this guy performed well, he could defeat 3 opponents and advance to the finals. If this guy underperformed, he would have to say goodbye to this league tournament. Seeing his dream about to be realized, how could Ash be willing to give up? Everything depends on you, Pikachu. Pika Pika, under Ash's expectant gaze, Mu Chen staggered into the arena. Hurry up and finish this, I want to sleep. Although your little skirt and big waves are quite eye-catching, compared to my life, you'd better sacrifice yourself. Looking at Nina standing opposite him, Mu Chen felt no pity whatsoever. Anyway, it's not her own woman, so what if she's tempting? Pidgeot. Use agility, then quick attack. Pidgeot's ability to take on 2 opponents was already a huge achievement for Nina. Now, facing this Pikachu, Nina didn't expect Pidgeot to pull off any miracles. Even a single hit on Pikachu would be a bonus. Beep beep. Upon receiving Nina's command, Pidgeot, hovering in midair, instantly transformed into a sharp arrow, shooting towards Pikachu, who was still striking a pose in the arena. Pika Pika, trash, so slow and you call that agility? So slow and you call that quick attack? Pidgeot's speed is relative. To Mu Chen at this moment, this Pidgeot was trash. Although in terms of base stats, Mu Chen's current 400 plus was still lower than Pidgeot's, you can't deny that Pidgeot had many buffs. Through genetic amplification, Mu Chen's speed far surpassed that of ordinary Pokémon. Facing the rapidly approaching Pidgeot, Mu Chen didn't even bother to dodge. This creature, seemingly lightning fast to others, was nothing special to Mu Chen. Zzzzz. Seizing the opportunity, Mu Chen unleashed the 100,000-volt attack on Pidgeot. Trying to pounce on me? Go cool off somewhere else. Beat, no matter how fast Pidgeot was, it couldn't outrun 100,000 volts of electricity. Before even touching Mu Chen, the 100,000-volt attack blasted towards him. With the added power of the lightning, Pidgeot couldn't even dodge. Watching the current magnify in its pupils, Pidgeot let out a mournful cry. Damn it. If I'd known it would be like this, I would have preferred to let it soar through the sky in a fierce storm. Maybe that would have been better than being delivered to its doom. However, these were just Pidgeot's fantasies. At this moment, the creature was charred black from the electric shock and convulsing violently. Pidgeot, you've done well. Next up is Nidoqueen. Pidgeot's defeat wasn't unexpected for Nina. However, the decisiveness and swiftness of the loss still made Nina frown. This Pikachu is so strong. Nina had studied Pikachu's battle against Konoha. However, due to the limitations of the arena, Pikachu hadn't actively attacked any of Konoha's Pokémon except for constantly using electric-type moves on the pool and tornado. This caused Nina's judgment of Pikachu to be slightly off. This Pikachu's special attack ability is terrifyingly strong. But so what? Nidoqueen's type is poison plus ground. No matter how powerful Pikachu's special attack is, its electric-type moves can't do any damage to Nidoqueen. Nido, with Nina's summons, a giant Nidoqueen, about 1.5 meters tall and entirely purple, appeared on the field. Wow! This Nidoqueen from Nina looks incredibly strong, yet, a typical Nidoqueen is only about 1.3 meters tall, but this one is not only much larger, but its skin is also noticeably more translucent than a typical Nidoqueen. Looks like this is Nina's main Pokémon. I've never seen her use it before, it's so obvious. Miss Nina kept Nidoqueen to deal with this Pikachu. Seeing Nidoqueen's dazzling size, the spectators on the sidelines immediately started discussing. This Nidoqueen looked like an extremely powerful Pokémon no matter how you looked at it. Nidoqueen? So what? Pikachu, charge. Use Iron Tail. Seeing that his opponent had summoned a ground-type Pokémon, Ash certainly wouldn't be foolish enough to let Mu Chen use an electric-type move. Ha ha ha. Iron Tail? You're overthinking it. Nidoqueen, don't hold back, use Earthquake. Hearing Ash's command, Nina burst into laughter. Sending a Pokemon like Pikachu, whose only strengths are special attack and speed, into melee combat? Nina wasn't worried at all. Nido, receiving its trainer's command, Nidoqueen raised its right foot. Then, with a heavy stomp, the entire arena trembled violently. This was one of the ground type's ultimate moves, Earthquake. This move is an incredibly powerful area of effect attack. Any Pokemon that can't fly can't escape the damage it inflicts. As the ground shook, intense ground-type energy was released, enough to cause massive damage to any Pokemon. Pika, what the hell? Is it really necessary? No testing, just going all in? Originally, Mu Chen's plan was to have a few rounds of back-and-forth fighting with Nidoqueen before she used this desperate move. But who would have thought that Nina wouldn't play by the rules, directly launching an Earthquake? Mu Chen's type is electric, which is already weak to ground-type moves. The ground shook, an earthquake struck, and Mu Chen was immediately put on the defensive. Ha ha ha. Very good, Nidoqueen, keep using Earthquake, don't stop. Seeing Pikachu struggling to dodge the ground-type energy surging from the ground, Nina was even more excited. The power of Earthquake increases with the amplitude of the ground shaking. At this moment, Nina's task was to have Nidoqueen continuously use Earthquake, eventually leaving Pikachu nowhere to land and forcing it to fall victim to its power. Pika, however, Mu Chen wasn't the kind of Pokemon who fought based on instinct. Damn it, you want to use Earthquake to restrict my movement? Then let's see if your Earthquake is faster, or my charge is stronger. Chapter 335 1 Dynamax. With high-speed movement and a flash of lightning, Mu Chen transformed into Golden Phantom in an instant. Even those with slightly poor eyesight wouldn't be able to detect Pikachu's location. Nika, a burning pain shot through her cheek, leaving Nidoqueen completely bewildered. What happened? I was having a blast with Pikachu, and suddenly I got punched? This face hurts so much? Pikachu, damn it. That hurts. Of course, it wasn't just Nidoqueen who was in pain. Mu Chen also felt excruciating pain from the tail lash. Damn it, you're not a rock Pokemon like Golem, why are you so tough? Fortunately, the tail lash interrupted Nidoqueen's ridiculous self-indulgence, gradually calming the trembling ground. Nidoqueen. Use Fire Punch to knock back Pikachu. Then seize the opportunity to use Earthquake. At this moment, Nina's bright eyes were filled with astonishment. This Pikachu's speed? It's a bit too much, isn't it? In an instant, Pikachu darted more than 10 meters and arrived in front of Nidoqueen. Although the power of this Iron Tail attack wasn't particularly shocking, Nina started to panic at this speed. If this continued, Nidoqueen might not be able to defeat this Pikachu. Although there was a type advantage, and although she had a powerful move like Earthquake. But what could she do if she couldn't hit the ghostly Pikachu? Nidoqueen, a Fire Punch carrying Nidoqueen's rage was unleashed. It was full of momentum, and the sound effects were explosive. Unfortunately, it only hit the air. After the Iron Tail, Mu Chen quickly changed position, sidestepping and appearing behind Nidoqueen. Pikachu, this thing must be a female, right? HMPH. Today I'll let you taste the pain of being humiliated. After discovering Nidoqueen's thick hide, Mu Chen decisively changed his tactics. Melee combat wasn't worthwhile, and mutual injury was even worse. Naturally, he needed to find a weakness to attack. Come to think of it, he hadn't used his Dynamax in battle since it reached level 2. Of course, to avoid suspicion, Mu Chen would never reveal this trump card. High-speed movement activated, and quick attack was activated. Acting on his thoughts was always Mu Chen's nature. Without any hesitation, Mu Chen charged towards Nidoqueen, who was constantly wagging its tail searching for a target. Due to its size, Mu Chen's height was just about reaching Nidoqueen's upper thigh. This made it easier for Mu Chen to launch some covert attacks. Charging beneath Nidoqueen, using her massive size to block the view of others, Mu Chen decisively activated Dynamax and launched an extremely ferocious attack. Nido, suddenly struck in her weak spot, Nidoqueen let out a pitiful howl. This blow had nearly killed her. Having fought countless battles, when had Nidoqueen ever suffered such a brutal attack? On other parts of her body, Nidoqueen had thick scales to defend against attacks. But in that vulnerable spot, There was absolutely no scale protection. Nidoqueen. What's wrong? Hang in there. Seeing Nidoqueen jumping and howling in pain, Nina was completely dumbfounded. What was going on? Was Pikachu's attack really that terrifying? It only used a super fast quick attack. Nidoqueen's defenses were incredibly strong. How could a flash of light possibly injure Nidoqueen like that? Unfortunately, because Mu Chen's attack was too fast and too stealthy, Nina didn't even notice his actual attack on Nidoqueen. Similarly, not only Nina didn't notice, but the spectators on the sidelines and the high-ranking members inside the Elite Four were also unable to discern how Pikachu had attacked. My god. Is that still Pikachu? Its special attack is terrifying, its speed is ghostly, and its close-range physical attack is this strong too. No way. Don't say anything. Let's go, sis, let's go catch Pikachu right now. Pikachu. Pikachu for sale. Trade only. Don't bring out Pokemon that aren't starter level and embarrass yourself. I'll trade. I'll trade you my Charmander. Charmander is nothing. Come on. I'll trade my Wartortle for your Pikachu. I'll add another 50,000 yuan. Because of Mu Chen's appearance, Pikachu had become a hot commodity in the Kanto region. Now, with Mu Chen using the unpredictable quick attack, the people of Kanto were in an uproar. This wasn't just Pikachu, it was a legendary Pokemon. Even if their own Pikachu wasn't as strong as the one on the field, it didn't matter. Every Pokemon has the same base stats. If this Pikachu is so powerful, then other Pikachu have a chance to reach its level. Even if they don't reach that level, even if they were only half as strong, wouldn't they still be able to dominate? Because of this, the Kanto region is about to experience another surge in Pikachu catching fever. Did any of you see how Pikachu attacked? Inside the Elite Four tower, the Elite Four members were certainly not as ignorant as the common people. They were joking. With tens of millions of Pikachu, the appearance of such a special one was a once-in-a-century, even once-in-a-millennium occurrence. Finding a second one? Forget about it. At this moment, their biggest focus was on how this Pikachu had attacked. However, even someone like Shiba, a fighting Elite Four member focused on strengthening his own abilities, couldn't detect any clues. I didn't realize. But logically speaking, Pikachu's quick attack shouldn't be this powerful, right? This Nidoqueen is really well trained. That's right, I didn't expect this little thing to have a trump card we didn't know about. Watching the Nidoqueen writhing in pain, the Elite Four members exchanged intriguing glances. This Pikachu is getting more and more interesting. Unexpectedly, besides its super strong special attack and speed, its physical attack ability is also so outstanding. What else is it that it's not good at? Damn it. Nidoqueen, you've had a tough time. Go, my last Pokemon, Raichu. Of course, Nina didn't know what the Elite Four members were thinking. Nidoqueen's unexpected defeat had completely disrupted Nina's plans. Now, she could only choose to send out her last Pokemon for a final showdown with this Pikachu. Chapter 336 You're not afraid of electricity? Raichu, little one. Today I'll show you the difference between evolved and non-evolved Pokemon in our race. Looking at the Pikachu opposite him, Raichu, whose size was clearly several times larger, exuded confidence. Pika, you idiot, who the hell gave you that confidence? Just because you're big doesn't mean you're awesome. How can you be so naive? You really think evolving is awesome? Today I'll show you why flowers are so red even when they're barren. Hearing Raichu's provocation, Mu Chen immediately retorted. No matter what, I absolutely can't be weak in terms of momentum. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. Ash couldn't understand the conversation between the two Pokemon, but seeing Raichu had entered the fray, he naturally issued the attack command without hesitation. As expected of his starter Pokemon, as expected of his strongest Pokemon, the opponents that Milotic and Gardevoir struggled against were nothing compared to Pikachu's ease. Although Ash didn't quite understand how Pikachu had defeated Nidoran, it didn't matter. Now, only this last enemy remained. As long as he defeated Raichu, Ash could successfully reach the final stage. Just thinking about the final stage he had longed for countless years beckoning him made Ash tremble with excitement. The League Finals. The League Champion. Just you wait. Here comes Ash. Pikachu, hearing Ash's command, Mu Chen didn't hesitate. This fat guy was too pretentious, and he did get a shock. No doubt about it, Thunderbolt, here you go. Zzz. With a thought, a thunderbolt shot out from Mu Chen's cheeks in an instant, blasting the still whining Raichu hard. However, The result of this thunderbolt disappointed Mu Chen. Raichu, go harder. Little mouse, I don't feel a thing. A 100,000-volt attack landed right in its body, but Raichu was completely oblivious, suffering no damage whatsoever. Looking at the bewildered Pikachu, Raichu grinned triumphantly. Ha ha ha. See that? This is the real electric-type Pokémon. My Raichu, it's not afraid of electric attacks. Although Nidoran's defeat was inexplicable, Nina's biggest trump card was still this Raichu. No one knew that a Raichu possessed the lightning rod ability, making it immune to electric attacks. And this was precisely Nina's greatest confidence in defeating Pikachu. What? Immune to electric attacks? Ash was equally stunned to see Raichu immune to electric attacks. This was the first time he'd seen an electric mouse, besides Pikachu, that was also immune to electric attacks. Although, this was Raichu after its evolution. Oh my god. What am I seeing? This Raichu isn't afraid of electric-type moves. Wow. What's going on? A Raichu immune to electric-type moves? This is the first time I've ever seen one. I've heard people mention that Pokémon have hidden abilities. Does this Raichu have one of those legendary abilities? Wow. An ability. I heard the League is still doing research on it. I didn't expect Raichu to have one. Is it that powerful? For ordinary people in the Kanto region, the concept of abilities is still unattainable. There are too many secrets surrounding Pokémon, and even after so many years, the leagues in various regions are still conducting various researches on Pokémon. And abilities are an extremely important research topic for the league leaders in each region. Lightning Rod, that's right, this Raichu's ability is Lightning Rod, tisk tisk. I didn't expect this little girl named Nina to have a Raichu with a hidden ability. It seems that Pikachu is going to have a tough time this time. While ordinary people are unaware of abilities, the Elite Four, as high-ranking members of the league, are quite familiar with them. Seeing Raichu ignore Pikachu's Thunderbolt, the Elite Four immediately guessed what Raichu's ability was. They had expected a fierce battle against this electric-type Raichu. After all, while it wasn't afraid of electricity, it could counter electric attacks. Even if you had resistance to electric-type moves, you couldn't withstand it in time. But something that quickly caused an uproar happened. Ha ha ha. Raichu, it's our turn to attack. Use Thunderbolt and let this Pikachu see who the real power is. Satisfied with the reactions from both sides, Nina arrogantly gave Raichu the attack command. HMPH. The League Championship. That will surely belong to Nina. Raichu, Nina was full of confidence, and Raichu was equally imposing. A Thunderbolt was unleashed, and Raichu looked at Pikachu with a smile. Little thing, let out a wail under the attack of lightning. However, Pikachu, are you kidding me? Howling? Howling my ass. Your attack isn't even enough to tickle me. Facing Raichu's Thunderbolt, Mu Chen didn't dodge or evade. Are you kidding me? Do you even know the Lightning Rod ability? Ash and Misty know Pikachu's ability, but most people don't. After all, Mu Chen hasn't really shown off this ability in front of many people, and he hasn't faced many electric-type opponents. Today, Raichu gave Mu Chen another chance to show off. What? How is this possible? Looking at the Pikachu immune to Thunderbolt, Nina's pretty face was filled with shock. Clearly, Mu Chen's show-off was a perfect success. Similarly, not only Nina was shocked, but all the spectators on the sidelines were also shocked. One Raichu wasn't enough, and Pikachu was also immune to electric-type attacks? What's going on? Are these abilities so common now? Quick! Stop looking, let's go catch Pikachu, right? Remember to bring an electric-type Pokémon. We must catch a Pikachu that's immune to electric-type attacks. That must be the secret to Pikachu's power, seeing that both Raichu and Pikachu are immune to electric-type moves, and that these two Pokémon could reach such a high stage, the spectators seem to have grasped something. Could this be the secret to Pikachu's power? Yes, it must be. Otherwise, with countless wild Pikachu, why did everyone previously treat them as cute pets to charm girls? Clearly, it's because of this ability. Only a Pikachu with this ability possesses boundless potential. This Pikachu is truly amazing. It seems that besides not being good at water battles, this Pikachu really doesn't have any weaknesses. As the Elite Four, they naturally wouldn't be as easily surprised as the ordinary people. However, they still expressed their admiration for this Pikachu. Chapter 337: A Mysterious Power. Damn it. Raichu, charge in and use Knock. Pikachu was also immune to electric-type attacks, which was far beyond Nina's expectations. With electric-type moves ineffective, Nina had no choice but to send Raichu into close combat with Pikachu. Surely, with Raichu's physique, defeating Pikachu shouldn't be too difficult, right? Although Nina herself had lost her previous confidence in the outcome, the final was just around the corner, and giving up was absolutely out of the question. Raichu, little thing, I didn't expect you to be immune to electricity either? Then take this knock. Nina hadn't expected it, and neither had Raichu. The lightning rod ability was a hidden ability among Pikachu, and its rarity was extremely high. Now, Pikachu's lightning rod had completely disrupted Raichu and its trainer Nina's composure. However, unlike Nina, Raichu was full of confidence. Pikachu's small physique was nothing to be trifled with. Pikachu, do you manufacture pencils? Is yours a 2B? Are you out of your mind, trying to knock me down? Take this. Without hesitation, high-speed movement was activated, and a flash of lightning struck. Bang! In a single step, Mu Chen collided heavily with Raichu. Raichu, who was charging forward with its signature 8-master step, was dealt a severe blow. Pikachu's attack speed was too fast. Without any warning, Raichu was knocked to the ground. Raichu, be careful, your opponent is very fast. Seeing Raichu knocked down, Nina quickly warned it. This Raichu is quite strong, but its biggest problem was its arrogance. Pikachu, well done. Keep attacking. Charge forward and use Hell Roll. Unlike the hesitant Nina, Ash was now completely fired up. Pikachu defeated Pidgeot and Nidoran with almost no effort, leaving only Raichu as its last opponent. Although electric-type moves are ineffective between Raichu and Pikachu, Pikachu is still quite strong in melee combat. Ash remembers that Pikachu once helped him win a fighting tournament championship. If it could win a fighting tournament championship, how could Pikachu possibly lose to Raichu in melee? However, Mu Chen scoffed at Ash's command. Pika, Hell Roll? Why do you still remember that unlucky move, you idiot? Go roll yourself, I'm not going. Mu Chen would never use such a self-destructive move unless absolutely necessary. Just kidding, after a series of rolls, the opponent might not even be defeated, and you'd probably just end up hurting yourself. Only a madman would use that tactic. Hell Roll is absolutely out of the question, but as for other moves. Watching Raichu flip up, a cold smile appeared on Mu Chen's lips. 2B, do you think I only have electric-type moves? Because of Nidoran's earthquake attack, the arena is far from flat. Countless cracks and churn-up dirt fill the area. But this gave Mu Chen a perfect opportunity. You see, this guy still has a special attack move called Mysterious Power. This move can change its type depending on Mu Chen's location. And this churn dirt is perfect for Mu Chen to use ground-type Mysterious Power. Without hesitation, he dodged the charging Raichu and stepped onto a patch of dirt. Raichu, keep attacking. Use Body Slam. Seeing Pikachu stop attacking and start dodging, Nina's morale soared. It seems the little guy has realized that quick attack alone can't defeat Raichu. As for Ash's Hell Roll, Nina didn't care about that at all. What power could a mere fighting-type move, especially one used by Pikachu, possibly have? Even Nidoran's defeat before was, in Nina's eyes, a complete accident. An accident might happen once, but it would never happen twice. However, Nina was unaware that this was not an accident at all. Pikachu, seeing Raichu charging towards him, Mu Chen let out a loud cry. Immediately, a strong ground-type elemental aura rose from Mu Chen's body. Raichu, never expecting Pikachu to have such a tactic, Raichu, charging forward, was immediately caught off guard. A powerful ground-type attack slammed into it, and Raichu fell to the ground again. What? How is this possible? Why is Pikachu using a ground-type attack? Looking at Raichu, knocked to the ground by a ground-type special attack, Nina was completely dumbfounded. How could this be? It's just Pikachu. How could it possibly learn a ground-type move? Oh my god. What did I just see? What move did Pikachu just use? Why is the energy fluctuation a yellowish-brown color? That means, this color of energy fluctuation, it should be a ground-type, right? Don't be ridiculous. Pikachu using a ground-type move. Are you dreaming? Who's dreaming? Can't you see for yourself? Look, Raichu was blasted so badly it can't even stand up. Nina was dumbfounded, and the audience on the sidelines erupted in an uproar. This Pikachu truly shattered their understanding of Pokémon. How is this possible? Pikachu can use it like that? A ground-type special attack move? While the general public and Nina couldn't see it, the Elite Four members inside the Tower of Kings certainly could. According to the registration information, this Pikachu should have been given trash by Professor Oak from Pallet Town. Right, that's right, it was indeed that old man Oak. Hey, it seems we need to go find that old man Oak and ask him where this Pikachu came from. While the move Mystic Power isn't particularly powerful, its versatility makes it an extremely rare and useful special attack move. However, there's no learning disc for this move. This means the only way to master it is through inheritance. Only if a Pokémon's bloodline contains this inherited power can it possibly learn this extremely special attack move. Now, the Elite Four members are clearly interested in Pikachu's bloodline. But how could they know that Mu Chen isn't some wild Pikachu? If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338 The Approaching Final. Congratulations to Ash from Pallet Town. Congratulations on advancing to the finals. The host's passionate shouts echoed through the arena, eliciting thunderous cheers. Just as the host had said, Ash had successfully advanced to the league finals. Compared to his previous match on a water-themed field, Ash won the semi-final match much more easily. This allowed everyone watching the league finals to fully understand the power of this Pikachu. Without the interference of the terrain, no one could find a single creature that posed a threat to Pikachu. Ha ha ha. Pikachu, that's awesome. We won. I'm in the finals, excited. Ash ran back into the arena and lifted Mu Chen high into the air. Having successfully entered the league finals, one step closer to his dream, Ash seemed to be burning with joy. Pika Pika, Ash wasn't the only one excited. Mu Chen was also incredibly excited. Although Ash's dream had absolutely nothing to do with Mu Chen, winning the league championship would allow Mu Chen to successfully complete the main quest. What did completing the main quest mean? First, Mu Chen would escape the danger of being wiped out. Second, he would gain the basic Pikachu abilities, giving him hope of becoming human again. Misty was still eagerly waiting. Mu Chen felt that this ripe cherry had to be enjoyed by him. And it wasn't just Misty. Even Lingzi, who is already fully ripe, was an absolute breeze to seduce. As a man, Mu Chen wouldn't abandon Misty for Lingzi, but he wouldn't pass up such a tempting offer. At worst, he'd just treat her as a casual fling. Driven by this dual motivation, Mu Chen's excitement was no less than Ash's. Just one more step. Just one last step. Whoever stood in his way, he would take them all down. The finals should be Ash versus Hero, right? That's right, this year's league has some really good prospects. Even excluding Ash, Hero is a rare talent. Watching Ash's celebration on the live stream, the Elite Four members in the Tower of Kings discussed again. Old lady, I have a suggestion. For the next match, let's choose a special terrain so we can properly test the future champion's strength. Through these past few days of observation, Agatha had a general understanding of Pikachu's strength. However, that wasn't enough. Now, Agatha wanted to give this Pikachu a final test. Agatha, what kind of special terrain are you talking about? Basically, volcanoes and pools. This Pikachu has already fought them all, right? What other terrains are special? Hearing Agatha's suggestion, the Elite Four members immediately became interested. Although they had already decided that Ash would be this year's champion, and they were even prepared to send out one of their main Pokémon to test this Pikachu. But if they could continue to probe the depths of this Pikachu's abilities, no one would object. After all, once Ash becomes the Kanto region champion, he will represent the Kanto region. Hey, my suggestion is aerial terrain. You've all seen Pikachu's strength. Aside from being somewhat affected by water battles, other terrains don't pose much of a problem for it. But our enemy is Team Rocket, the dark forces of the entire world. Nobody knows when or where the next battle will break out. What if it breaks out in the air? Will Pikachu still be able to fight? While speaking with high-sounding words, Agatha's real purpose was still to test Pikachu's limits. If this guy wasn't good at aerial combat, would Agatha have a chance? After all, Jengar, that Pokémon, can float and move freely in the air. Interesting. Aerial field? Aki, are you deliberately making things difficult for Pikachu? It's just an electric mouse, after all. Even if it's powerful, how can it fight in the air? An aerial field is an area where there's no ground, all battles take place in the air. Of course, this is unfair to Pokémon that can't fly. So, there are floating platforms in the field. These platforms allow non-flying Pokémon to move short distances. While this is still unfair to non-flying Pokémon, the League considers how much combat power a Pokémon can exert in a changing environment. Right. What do you think? My idea is pretty good, isn't it? What do you guys think? Aki was even more excited when Lance agreed. As long as Lance nodded, the other two were irrelevant. Frankly, the only truly powerful Elite Four members in the Kanto region were Aki and the unfathomably powerful Lance. I have no objection. Lorelei adjusted her glasses and spoke first. As the least noticeable Elite Four member of the League, Lorelei never disagrees with others. Ha ha ha. An aerial battle? Interesting. I'd like to see if this Pikachu can be so agile in the air, fighting Elite Four member Shiba, a muscle-bound man who only knows how to fight, naturally wouldn't object to suggestions that increase the difficulty and entertainment value of the battle. Since everyone says so, let's arrange an aerial arena for the next match. I also want to see how this Pikachu fights in the air. Although Lance changed his strategy against Pikachu, it didn't affect his goal of probing Pikachu's strength. Agatha's suggestion was very much to Lance's liking. Hey. Okay, I'll have someone arrange it. Hopefully, tomorrow, that Pikachu can bring us something different. For Agatha, if Ash could lose to Orochi, she would be overjoyed. Not winning the championship would significantly reduce his influence. Humans are forgetful creatures. If Ash doesn't win the championship and doesn't appear in the public eye often, the public will forget about him soon. Then, Agatha will naturally have more opportunities to catch and capture Pikachu. Of course, Ash and Mu Chen are unaware of all this at the moment. Mu Chen is currently hiding in a quiet corner, curled up. Pika Pika, damn it. You idiot, go celebrate if you want, I'm going to sleep. Chapter 339 Opponent, Adheng. Pikachu. Look. This is the finals. We've arrived at the final stage. Looking at the bustling crowd around him, and the huge, magnificent arena before him, Ash's eyes, still burning with energy after a night of work, still blazed with fierce light. Pikachu, holy crap. Are you Superman? Aren't you tired? Looking at the incredibly excited Ash, Mu Chen was completely impressed. This energy is just too damn abundant. If he learned some kind of electric twerking or electric motor trick, even Xiangjie wouldn't be a match for him. Mu Chen expressed his extreme envy for Ash's superhuman energy. Damn. If I had your energy, ladies and gentlemen, respected league trainers, welcome to the finals of the Kanto Region League Tournament. Today, we will determine the Kanto Region League Tournament champion. The winner will be eligible to challenge for the champion's path, and finally, Mr. Samaranch will issue the challenge. Now, let's welcome our two contestants. Ash. Hero. Just as Mu Chen was still fantasizing about having Ash's boundless energy, the league tournament host's passionate voice suddenly rang out. Looking at the host and the hoarse shouts, and seeing the audience instantly erupt in cheers, Mu Chen quickly composed himself. The final battle was about to begin. Ash. Your Pikachu is strong, but defeating me won't be so easy. Under the referee's guidance, Ash and Hero began registering their 3 Pokémon. Haha. The championship is definitely mine. Faced with Hero's provocation, Ash's inexplicable confidence spread wildly once again. What a joke. Having come this far, Ash had no other thoughts in his mind. Winning the championship was a must. Then we'll wait and see. With that, Ahong looked at Ash with a cold smile. Did he really think he was one of those weaklings from before? Pikachu was indeed powerful, but after being restricted from using those super moves, its strength was nothing special. Pikachu wasn't just for Ash. Alright. Now the Pokémon of both contestants have been registered. Next, let's draw the arena. Although the arena had already been predetermined, they still had to put on a show, otherwise how could they demonstrate the fairness and transparency of the league? However, when the predetermined aerial arena was drawn, the entire arena erupted in uproar. Good heavens! It was the aerial arena, known for its most treacherous terrain. Within this arena, there were fewer than 20 floating platforms for non-flying Pokémon to land on. If they accidentally fell off a platform, it meant they were disqualified from the battle. Upon seeing that the final venue was this, the audience erupted in cheers. Ha ha ha. I can't believe the last match will be on this field. This is too difficult, exactly. Without a place to land, those non-flying Pokémon can't even battle. Ash is in danger today. Look at the 3 Pokémon he registered. Melodic is completely useless, the platform isn't big enough. Gardevoir can fly using psychic powers, but his main Pokémon, Pikachu, can't. That's right, that a hero has at least 2 flying Pokémon. But I'm curious. A hero, he even has a Pikachu. While the people of the Kanto region were discussing this, Ash and a hero arrived at the arena. Gardevoir, the first battle is yours. Pikachu, are you going to battle? Looking at the so-called most difficult aerial arena, a reluctant Ash initially wanted Gardevoir to go first. Unexpectedly, once again, before he could even throw his Pokémon, Pikachu perched on his shoulder darted out. Pika Pika, of course, what am I supposed to do if I'm not going to fight? This barren arena looks just like that water arena. If all the platforms are destroyed, are you expecting me to just go up and surrender? Seeing this arena, Mu Chen immediately thought of that water arena from before. Damn it, if all the footholds are gone, wouldn't I be in an awkward situation? The thought of that possibility made Mu Chen unable to contain himself. Anyway, Gardevoir would just be cannon fodder anyway, so he might as well go up himself. Alright. Then I choose you, Pikachu. Seeing Pikachu volunteer for the battle, Ash naturally wouldn't refuse. Pikachu? Well then, let's go too. Rain. With Ahan's call, a golden figure named Rain appeared in the arena. It was also a Pikachu. Pikachu, upon its appearance, the Pikachu named Rain displayed a strong desire to battle. Pikachu Pikachu, holy crap. Rain? Why aren't you just re-angered? Who are you trying to scare? Pikachu, my foot. Today I'll see how you act cheekily in front of me. As the saying goes, like attracts like. Seeing Rain, who was even cuter than himself, Mu Chen couldn't stand it. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. Rain, use Thunderbolt. The 2 trainers issued their commands almost simultaneously. Zzzzz. Zzzzz. 2 bolts of electricity shot out from Mu Chen and Rain's cheeks almost simultaneously. Boom, the 2 currents collided, causing an explosion. When the dust settled, a floating platform was missing from the arena. Pikachu, holy crap. This Rain is pretty strong. Mu Chen was astonished that Pikachu could withstand a 100,000 volt attack without being at a disadvantage. What the hell? Is this still Pikachu? This is too much? It can actually go toe-to-toe with me, no doubt. One exchange had taken away one of the floating platforms, so Mu Chen wasn't going to waste any more time. High-speed movement activated, and quick attack was activated. To protect the floating platforms, Mu Chen decisively chose close combat. You little mouse, your special attack isn't weak. I don't believe you can beat melee. Rain, use Raging Volt, target the floating platforms around you, ignore Pikachu's attack. Seeing Pikachu initiate melee, Ahan decisively gave his Pokémon a command. However, his command was exactly what Mu Chen was worried about. Attack the floating platforms. Pika Pika, holy crap. Dude, something else. There are only a few platforms like this. It's fine if you don't stand there, but I'm going to hold on until the very end. Seeing the annoying actions of the Pikachu named Rain across from him, Mu Chen panicked. Chapter 340 Winning the first match. Pikachu Pikachu. At this moment, Mu Chen transformed into Flesh and Egg Superman, relying on his not-so-strong flesh and blood body to constantly shuttle between the extremely fast floating platforms. His purpose was to shield those floating platforms from the damage from Rain. This Ahang didn't care about Rain's victory or defeat, he only wanted both sides to be injured, but Mu Chen didn't want that. If they were all blasted to pieces, wouldn't I be doomed? At this moment, Mu Chen had already cursed the Alliance's higher-ups in his heart. What the hell are they? Why did they research this barren terrain? Don't they dare to fight fairly? If this were an ordinary arena, Mu Chen was confident that he could take down this Rain in a few rounds. However, now that he was in this empty arena, Mu Chen truly understood what it meant to have strength but no way to use it. Well done, Rain. Don't hold back your stamina, keep blasting. Blast them all to pieces. Even with meticulous planning, Mu Chen finally missed one of the floating platforms. Looking at the shattered platform, Mu Chen's heart bled. However, unlike Mu Chen, Ahang's eyes shone brightly. Previously, Ahang had no confidence whatsoever against Ash. Although his rain was strong and also possessed a hidden ability that granted immunity to electric-type attacks, after witnessing Nina Raichu's crushing defeat, Ahong knew that this alone wouldn't be enough to defeat Ash's Pikachu. However, when he saw the arena drawn by the League, Ahong suddenly saw hope. Terrain. Just like Konoha back then, using the terrain to their advantage. Konoha lost because their strength was insufficient. But Ahong wasn't Konoha. Ahong was very confident in his own strength. If it weren't for Ash's Pikachu, Ahong was confident he could completely crush anything that came up. At this moment, Ahong's only thought was to trade. To trade his rain for these floating platforms. Especially after seeing Ash's Pikachu use its bare body to block Rain's attack on the platform, Ahong became even more certain of his idea. Pikachu, counterattack. However, Ash was different. Although Pikachu was not afraid of electric-type moves, this was the first time it had been completely suppressed and unable to even counterattack. Seeing the Pikachu constantly running around in the arena, Ash panicked. This was the final of the league tournament. Pika Pika, counterattack my ass. Do you think I don't want to counterattack? The problem is, if I counterattack, this bastard will relentlessly destroy the floating platforms. If I take this bastard down, I still have 2 more matches to play. Without the floating platforms, how the hell am I supposed to fight? However, passive defense is never as good as active offense. No matter how fast Mu Chen was, no matter how quick Mu Chen's reaction was, the floating platforms in the arena were still being destroyed one by Ahong's Rain Pikachu. Looks like this little guy has met his match. Yes, this kid named Ahong is very clever. He has no intention of battling Ash at all. He's focused entirely on destroying the floating platforms. Akiko, if all the platforms are destroyed and Ash loses, are we just going to let Ahong be the champion? Inside the Elite Four, the Elite Four members watching the battle were also discussing the situation. The current situation seemed very clear. If this continued, even if this rain lost, Pikachu's days would definitely be numbered. With many floating platforms destroyed, Pikachu would even lose its space to dodge. At that point, what good would its immense strength do? The rules of the competition were that landing meant defeat. Hey, of course, rules are rules. If Ash loses, it only means he still has some shortcomings. But this kid is still young. If he doesn't succeed this time, he'll definitely win the next league championship easily. Just kidding, that's exactly the effect Akiko wanted. If she could outmaneuver Ash and Pikachu, then Agatha would have an even better opportunity to act, wouldn't she? Because Pikachu had demonstrated extraordinary potential and astonishing intelligence, Agatha's determination to capture Pikachu was now unwavering. This Pikachu was the cornerstone of her grand plan. As Agatha said, rules are rules. If Ash loses, it only means his strength is insufficient to handle any severe challenge. Lance, of course, shared Agatha's opinion. Rules were all nonsense. Those who set the rules were often the ones who broke them first. Lance supported Agatha simply for the sake of his grand plan. The difference between champion and runner-up was enormous. The cost of recruiting a champion was far greater than recruiting a runner-up. Therefore, Lance was happy to see Pikachu lose and Ash become runner-up. In this way, wouldn't the price he had to pay to recruit Ash be much smaller? However, how could these people know that Mu Chen would never accept defeat? Pikachu, damn it. You forced me to do this. After continuous blocking, Mu Chen found that Raichu was still blindly destroying the floating platform, and the guy was completely enraged. You're asking for it, aren't you? Damn it. I'm not defending anymore, you better get lost. With high-speed movement boost, quick attack was activated. In an instant, Mu Chen, who had given up on defense, transformed into a bolt of electricity and slammed into Rain. Rain, use quick attack to move. Seeing Pikachu launch its charge, Ahong immediately responded. Pikachu, receiving Ahong's command, Rain also entered quick attack mode. Although this guy's speed was not as fast as Mu Chen's, he could still dodge Mu Chen's attack by relying on the instant acceleration of quick attack. Pikachu, HMPH. Trying to run? Get down here. Ahong's plan was good, and Rain's execution was good too. But they still underestimated Mu Chen. Seeing Rain activate quick attack, Mu Chen didn't hesitate at all, lashing out with Iron Tail at the figure that had just passed him. Although one Iron Tail wasn't enough to cause Rain much damage. But with this Iron Tail strike, Rain's quick attack lost its momentum. Pikachu, quick attack interrupted, The displacement distance wasn't enough, and looking at the floating platform that was so close, Rain felt like he was worlds apart. The winner of the first round is Ash from Pallet Town. Seeing Rain knocked down, the referee decisively announced the winner of the match. However, as the winner, Mu Chen wasn't happy. There were less than 10 floating platforms left. Chapter 341 Disgusting Tactics. Next, it's your turn to battle, Butterfree. Fooey. With Aheng's summons, a butterfly over a meter long appeared on the arena. Butterfree's type is bug flying, making it completely unaffected by the terrain in this aerial arena. And this was Aheng's second Pokémon. Pikachu used Thunderbolt. Seeing Aheng summon a flying-type Butterfree, Ash didn't hold back. Thunderbolt is specifically designed to shock these flying types. Pikachu, perfect. Hearing Ash's command, Mu Chen didn't hesitate and unleashed a Thunderbolt at Butterfree. Against a flying-type opponent, Thunderbolt was naturally an excellent choice. Moreover, Mu Chen wanted to finish the battle quickly to preserve the last 10 or so floating platforms. Sizzle, sparks of electricity danced and leaped across Mu Chen's cheeks. In an instant, a fist-thick bolt of electricity struck the still flapping Butterfree. Butterfree, use Substitute. Block Pikachu's attack. Then, use Signal Light Speed to attack those floating platforms. This time, Aheng's tactical choice remained unchanged. Destroy the floating platforms. This was Aheng's plan. The first Pikachu destroyed more than a dozen floating platforms because its sudden attack caught Ash off guard. Now that the opponent was on guard, Aheng didn't expect Butterfree to destroy all the remaining platforms. But even destroying just half of the platforms would be enough for Aheng. As long as the number of floating platforms could be greatly reduced, Pikachu's performance could be limited to the greatest extent, laying enough groundwork for his final battle. Aheng was confident that as long as he could defeat this Pikachu, Ash's remaining Pokémon would definitely be no match for him. Fooey. With Aheng's command, Butterfree frantically flapped its wings. Immediately, a figure identical to Butterfree's original form appeared before it. This was the Substitute skill, capable of shielding the user from all attacks. Ring ring. After the Substitute appeared, Butterfree flapped its wings again, followed by a series of crisp sounds. This skill was the attack command Aheng gave to Butterfree, Signal Beam. As a bug-type special attack skill, Signal Beam's attack power wasn't particularly strong, but its advantage lay in its excellent concealment. Boom. Boom. With the use of Butterfree's Signal Beam, explosions rang out one after another. Pikachu, what the hell? Have you no shame? Seeing that its opponent was completely ignoring him and focusing all its attention on attacking the floating platform, Mu Chen became even more anxious. This is too shameless. Unfortunately, his Thunderbolt was blocked by the Substitute, and Butterfree was completely unharmed. Zzz. Damn it, you blocked one of my attacks. Let's see how many more times you can use Substitute. Because Butterfree was currently suspended in midair without any platform, Mu Chen couldn't even charge at it. There was nowhere to land. Charging would be suicide. Butterfree, ignore Pikachu's attack. Keep using Substitute. Keep destroying the floating platforms. The tactic worked, and Aheng had no other choice. Although each use of Substitute greatly depleted Butterfree's stamina, it didn't matter to Aheng. One Substitute for one floating platform was well worth it in his eyes. Pikachu, damn it. At this moment, Mu Chen was filled with grief and indignation. Faced with such a shameless tactic, all he could do now was attack desperately. Ultimately, the outcome depended on how many times Butterfree could use Substitute. The number of times it used Substitute determined the number of floating platforms it could destroy. Oh my god. Such a shameless tactic, it's over. It's all over. I bet everything I had on Pikachu to win. Everything you had? Dude, you're amazing. I only used my own savings. Sigh. Pikachu's had such a frustrating match. He was unlucky enough to draw this terrain, and his opponent was incredibly unfair. Looking at the constantly crumbling floating platform, even the average person could see where the advantage lay. Even if Pikachu defeated Butterfree, so what? In the end, Aheng still had another Pokémon. If Butterfree could be used as cannon fodder to destroy the floating platform, it was obvious that his last Pokémon was also a flying type. Faced with this situation, even with its immense power, Ash's Pikachu couldn't utilize it. Everyone knew that without a floating platform, without a foothold, this incredibly powerful Pikachu would be defeated without a fight. The audience naturally felt extremely sorry for it. It would be disheartening to see such a powerful Pikachu lose like this. But what could be done? Rules are rules. It seems our plan needs to change. That's right, Lorelei is right. If this Ahung wins in the end, then we don't need to send out our main Pokémon. Although there were still 3 floating platforms on the field, the Elite Four members inside the Tower of Kings all knew that Pikachu's defeat was inevitable. Ahung's last Pokémon was Charizard. With its powerful attack, Charizard could easily destroy several floating platforms. Without these platforms, even with its infinite power, Pikachu would still lose. Hey, that's fine too. Ash is still too young. With more experience, he can grow better and become a pillar of our Kanto region. Of course, the happiest person about Ash's defeat was Agatha, who had orchestrated all of this. Kiku is right. Letting this child experience a defeat is a good lesson for him. Kiku was happy, and Lance was naturally in a good mood too. As he'd said before, winning over a runner-up was much less costly and wouldn't attract attention. With a little favor, Ash would surely pounce. Winning Ash over would give Lance a powerful ace up his sleeve. Pikachu, just as the audience and Elite Four members were discussing, Mu Chen finally defeated the wretched Butterfree. Unfortunately, only 2 floating platforms remained on the field. Chapter 342, A Moment of Crisis. Now, let me show you my last Pokémon. Charizard, the rest is up to you. Butterfree's ability to destroy so many floating platforms had exceeded Ahung's calculations. Looking at the last 2 platforms remaining, a smug smile appeared on Ahung's lips. He was certain of winning this match. Roar! At Ahung's summons, a Charizard far exceeding the size of its kind slowly rose into the air and arrived on the arena. Oh my god! Look at Ahung's Charizard, it's so big. That's right, Ahung seems to have trained his Charizard very well. Ahung has been hiding his strength well. We've seen his Butterfree battle often before, but this is the first time we've seen Charizard. It's over. Pikachu really has no hope of winning this time. There are only 2 floating platforms left, and Pikachu can't hold on. What bad luck to encounter a battle arena like this. Seeing Ahung summon a clearly very powerful Charizard at the last moment, the audience outside the arena immediately erupted in an uproar. In this situation, no matter how you look at it, Pikachu has no hope. Even if Pikachu's electric-type moves are super effective against Charizard, it will definitely succumb to the floating platforms before Charizard can hold on. Without the floating platforms, Pikachu cannot fly and will be judged as defeated. Pikachu, it's the last battle, use Thunderbolt. Although the situation was very bad, Ash was still full of fighting spirit. This was the final battle of the league tournament. Pikachu was Ash's most trusted and strongest starter Pokémon. Ash had no hesitation. He believed Pikachu would never let him down. Pikachu, of course, Mu Chen didn't know what Ash was thinking. But Mu Chen, like Ash, wouldn't give up in this battle. This was about the main quest. This was about his future. This was about his own life. Zzzzz. A current carrying Mu Chen's hopes shot out from his cheeks. The target was the Charizard flapping its wings. What a pathetic Charizard, kneel down before me. Charizard, use Protect. Then, use Burnout to destroy the last 2 floating platforms. Although Charizard couldn't use Butterfree's substitute, Protect could still help it defend against Pikachu's attacks. For Ahung, he didn't want much. If Charizard could block Pikachu's Thunderbolt, it could use its powerful area of effect attack, Burn Up, to destroy the last 2 floating platforms. Roar! Upon receiving Ahung's command, a fiery red energy barrier appeared in front of Charizard. This was the Protect move, known for its ability to withstand any attack. While its defensive capabilities were outstanding, its usage was extremely demanding, meaning a Pokémon could only use it once in a short period. In other words, this move, similar to Mu Chen's charge, had a cooldown period. With the appearance of the energy barrier, Charizard ignored the incoming Thunderbolt. It opened its mouth and unleashed a torrent of blazing fire energy towards the space where Mu Chen was. Whoosh! With a fire-type energy Charizard exhaled, the entire arena was instantly enveloped in a dense aura of flame. The last 2 floating platforms were in imminent danger. It seems this match is about to be decided. What a pity. This Pikachu is indeed exceptionally strong, but its opponent is no pushover either. Watching the scene unfold in the arena, Lorelei and Sheba, inside the Elite Four Tower, were the first to comment on the battle. In their opinion, in a normal fight, Ahung would definitely be no match for Pikachu. However, constrained by the arena's limitations, the ultimate victor could only be Ahung, who was solely focused on exploiting the rules. Against a different opponent, Pikachu might have had a chance to use its powerful attacks to defeat the opponent before they could destroy the platform. However, who could have imagined that Alan's 3 chosen Pokémon would be so strategically targeted? The first Pikachu was immune to electric-type moves, attacking the platform with impunity. The second, Butterfree, could use Substitute, and after a flurry of substitutes, it destroyed quite a few platforms. Finally, the Charizard, while not as strong defensively as the previous 2, possessed attack power many times greater. With this one Protect, the Charizard's burnout attack after Pikachu's attack was enough to destroy the last 2 platforms. Without the floating platforms, Pikachu was naturally defeated without a fight. Hey, there's nothing to regret. Frankly, it's because Pikachu's strength is insufficient. If Pikachu had absolute overwhelming power, Ahong's tactics wouldn't have worked, everything was proceeding according to plan, and Akiko was naturally very excited. As for what she meant by insufficient strength, obviously, this old woman had long forgotten that it was because they had limited Pikachu's strength. If it weren't for the super move limiting the attack, Mu Chen's attack after charging up might not have been able to withstand even Charizard's Protect. However, through Akiko's step-by-step calculations, Mu Chen was now in a dangerous situation. Pikachu, attack quickly. The floating platforms are about to collapse. The most anxious one was naturally Ash. Seeing that the last 2 floating platforms were already showing signs of disintegration, Ash was immediately alarmed. Ha ha ha. Ash, you've got no chance. That floating platform is about to shatter, stop struggling. This year's champion belongs to me, Ahong. Although the victory wasn't honorable, under the rules, Ahong was the victor. Looking at the victory that was about to be his, Ahong trembled slightly with excitement. Pikachu, damn it. This is truly shameless. At this moment, Mu Chen was also extremely anxious about the situation before him. Facing this shameless Charizard, Mu Chen really had no idea what to do. One Thunderbolt was blocked, and even if he used another, it would be too late. The floating platform beneath his feet had already begun to tremble slightly. Mu Chen knew that this thing was about to disintegrate. Damn it. I refuse to accept this. Sizzle, with no other choice, Mu Chen could only grit his teeth and unleash another Thunderbolt. Damn it, he'd risk it all. Let's see if the floating platform breaks first, or if you stupid dragon get electrocuted by me. Chapter 343 The Figure Riding on Lightning. Pikachu, it's over. There's really no hope this time, what a pity. Charizard took a hit from Thunderbolt, and its condition is greatly damaged. That's right, it's a real pity. Even with just one more platform, Pikachu could have won. There's nothing we can do, the rules set by the league can't be broken. It seems Ash will have to wait until the next league tournament, I'm so unwilling. Pikachu is clearly stronger, accompanied by Ash's anxious shouts and the sighs of the spectators. The last 2 platforms shattered completely. Although Charizard took a hit from Mu Chen's Thunderbolt, and although the Thunderbolt's type dealt a significant blow to Charizard's flying type, Charizard's level was high enough to withstand the attack. Charizard survived, but Mu Chen couldn't. Without a platform to land on, Mu Chen was plummeting straight down the arena. Everyone knew that once Pikachu fell to the stadium, the outcome of this match would be decided. Although Ash still had 2 Pokémon, one of them, Melodic, was completely unable to participate. And few believed that Gardevoir, the only one who could participate, could defeat the powerful Charizard. This meant that once Pikachu fell to the stadium, the match concerning the Kanto Regional League Championship would be decided. Seeing Ash, who was originally a favorite, ultimately lose for this reason, everyone felt sorry for him. But what can we do? Hey, shouldn't we get ready to make our appearance? Yeah, let's get ready. Without Pikachu, Ash is no match for this hero. How, you 2 young people are really impatient. We're the Elite Four, the face of the Kanto region, there's no need to be so hasty. Exactly, Akiko's right. Anyway, even if hero wins, there'll still be some introduction by the tournament host and stuff. We'll come out later. What's this? Not only the people of the Kanto region, but even the Elite Four inside the Tower of Kings confirmed the outcome of the match. Pikachu had nowhere to land and fall to the bottom in an instant. But just as Lance was trying to calm the slightly impatient Clyde and Lorelei down, a sudden change occurred on the field. Ah! Look, oh my god. This is impossible, what's going on? How is this possible? Not only were Lance and the others shocked, but the spectators on the sidelines were also in an uproar. Ha ha ha. Pikachu, I knew you wouldn't let me down, Charge! Ash was the most excited of them all. Looking at the figure that should have fallen to the bottom, looking at that tenacious figure, Ash trembled with excitement. Damn! This works too. Unlike Ash's excitement, Awaken, who had been full of confidence, was now only filled with astonishment. And the reason for Awaken's astonishment, Ash's excitement, and the uproar of the entire audience was Pikachu riding on lightning. Pika Pika, damn it! You bastard, trying to trick me? Trying to make me fail with this disgusting method? Don't even think about it. The floating platforms shattered completely, and Mu Chen was initially panicked. Without these platforms, Mu Chen, having lost his footing, could only fall downwards in a state of weightlessness. If it were an unimportant match, Mu Chen might have just coasted through. But this match was crucial to the main quest, his dream of becoming human, and even his own life. How could Mu Chen possibly give up so easily in such an important match? After a brief moment of panic, Mu Chen quickly recovered and decisively used an electric shock on himself. With the use of the electric shock, Mu Chen was able to catch his breath for a moment thanks to the fleeting nature of the skill. Once he caught his breath, Mu Chen continued to use electric shock. This time, activating his high-speed movement mode, Mu Chen used the electric shock as a stepping stone. Although the current released by the electric shock would disappear in an instant, it was enough for Mu Chen. Relying on these electromagnetic steps formed by the electric shock, Mu Chen gradually climbed back into the air. Everyone inside and outside the arena was shocked to see this Pikachu moving with lightning speed. No one had expected that Pokémon skills could be used in this way. No one had expected that this Pikachu could seize the fleeting electric shock and achieve such a high level of coordination between its speed and skill usage. Relying on the continuous release of electric shocks, Pikachu now resembled a flying Pokémon wrapped in lightning, hovering in mid-air opposite Charizard. Seeing this, all the spectators who supported Pikachu were thrilled. They had already given up hope, but who would have thought this Pikachu would be so tenacious, so powerful? Damn it! Charizard, use flamethrower to knock it down. Seeing Pikachu hovering in mid-air, Awaken completely lost his previous composure. At this moment, Awaken wanted nothing more than to pounce on Pikachu and pin it down. Why? Why? Did you fall down? How can you get back up? Why did you come back up? This kind of movement by stepping on fleeting electric currents, Awaken had never even heard of it before, let alone seen it. Seeing the championship that was about to slip away, Awaken went berserk. Since Pikachu needs to release electricity to maintain its balance and stability in the air, does that mean Pikachu is completely unable to attack Charizard? If that's the case, then Awaken still has a chance. Roar, sensing its master's strong will to survive, Charizard didn't hesitate, unleashing a scorching flame at Pikachu. Yellow-skinned mouse, you did startle me. But that's all you've got. I refuse to believe that you can dodge my flamethrower with your electric walking ability. Pikachu. Watch out for Charizard's attack. Seeing Awaken's move, Ash quickly warned Pikachu. In this situation, Ash couldn't help Pikachu much. Everything from now on depended on Mu Chen himself. Pika, flamethrower? HMPH. Come on. You big silly dragon, I'm taking victory in this match today. Chapter 344 Run on the Thunder. Whoosh, facing the scorching flames rushing towards him, Mu Chen showed not a trace of panic. This battle was one he could not give up, one he could not admit defeat in. This battle was also his battle of righteousness. At this moment, Mu Chen had a general idea of what was going on. This damned field selection, this damned skill restriction, was simply the league targeting him. Either it was Kikuko, or it was Yulongdu. Through Ajo's intelligence, Mu Chen already knew that these two guys had ill intentions towards him. Now, there was no need to even think about it. These two bastards definitely wanted him to lose. Damn it, you want me to lose? I'll win anyway. Zzzzz. Electricity crackled wildly across Mu Chen's cheeks. Of course, to avoid giving these idiots in the league a weakness, Mu Chen would never mindlessly use any charging techniques. Boom, Pikachu, just as Mu Chen was charging up, Charizard's flamethrower slammed down on him. With no way to avoid it, Mu Chen naturally took the hit head-on. A painful cry escaped from Mu Chen's mouth. Although Mu Chen's special attack was formidable at this moment, and his speed far surpassed that of ordinary Pokémon, his base stat total was only 435. This base stat total was only in the lower middle tier in the Pokémon world, and Mu Chen had no advantage against ordinary evolved Pokémon. This also proved how weak Mu Chen's physique was. Most of his base stats were distributed between special attack and speed. Well done. Charizard, press your advantage, use flamethrower again. Seeing Charizard's flamethrower blast Pikachu, which was floating in the air, down, Ahung shouted excitedly again. At this moment, he had seen hope of victory again. Pikachu! Hang in there. Seeing Pikachu start to fall again, Ash panicked. What's going on? He had just seen hope, was it still not enough? It seems Pikachu has reached its limit, that's right. Although the little thing used that fleeting electric current to levitate, its movement ability is still restricted. Watching Pikachu being knocked back down by Charizard's flamethrower, the Elite Four members in the tower once again made their judgment. While Pikachu's ability to move by electric current was indeed amazing, that was all. Just as Ash was getting anxious and the Elite Four members were making their judgment, the arena changed again. Pikachu, Mu Chen, who had fallen again, suddenly let out a loud cry. Then, zzz, a dazzling bolt of electricity suddenly shot out from Mu Chen's cheeks, hitting Charizard hard. This was Mu Chen's Thunderbolt after charging up. Although charging was not allowed, the power of a charged Thunderbolt was still much stronger than those instantaneous ones. Of course, Mu Chen didn't intend to end the battle with just one Thunderbolt. What he wanted to do was... My god! Pikachu! Look! Pikachu is running, oh my god! What did I just see? Pikachu is running on a 100,000 volt current, how is that possible? It's actually possible, I can't take it anymore. Get out of my way, I'm going to catch Pikachu, looking to buy a Pikachu that's immune to electric attacks, whatever you want. When the audience saw the figure running at high speed on electricity, they immediately erupted in excitement. In their entire lives, they had never seen or even heard of such a scene. Damn it! Charizard, get out of the way. Seeing Pikachu's attack, seeing the golden figure running at high speed on a 100,000 volt current, Ahung was immediately terrified. Roar! Ahung was shocked, and Charizard, the dragon involved, was even more panicked at this point. Dodging was definitely too late. Ahung's only option was to have Charizard use Protect. As long as it could block the electric ball, this Pikachu would be rendered powerless. Then, Charizard wouldn't even need to attack, the Pikachu would simply fall to the bottom of the field and be defeated. Roar! Upon receiving Ahung's command, Charizard didn't hesitate at all. With a roar, a fiery red energy barrier instantly formed in front of it. Although the energy wasn't as concentrated as before because Protect had been used, Ahung thought it was enough. This electric ball wasn't black, Charizard should be able to withstand it no matter what, right? Boom! Under Ahung's watchful eyes, under Ash's watchful eyes, under the watchful eyes of the Elite Four in the tower, under the watchful eyes of the entire arena and even the entire Kanto region, Mu Chen's electric ball slammed into Charizard's Protect energy shield. A massive explosion sent plumes of smoke billowing into the air, obscuring the Charizard's condition from the spectators. Ha ha ha! Awesome! I won! The championship is mine. While the spectators were unaware, Ahung, the Charizard's trainer, was the first to cheer. Although he too couldn't see inside the smoke, there was no sound from Charizard after the explosion. What did this mean? Clearly, Protect had blocked the electric ball attack. However, before Ahung could even celebrate, a massive, fiery red figure suddenly plummeted from the smoke, slamming heavily into the ground. Although Pikachu's golden figure also began to fall, the fiery red figure's descent was far faster than Pikachu's. The result was obvious, Protect failed to block Pikachu's electric ball this time. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345 Champion. Champion. Congratulations to Ash from Pallet Town. Congratulations on becoming the champion of this year's Pokemon League. The crowd went wild, erupting in cheers. As Charizard's massive body crashed onto the arena, the announcer's hoarse shouts followed. Clearly, he had been holding back for a long time to prepare this shout. With the announcer's cry, the entire Pokemon League arena erupted in deafening roars and thunderous applause. Fantastic! Pikachu! Fantastic! We won! I'm the champion! The match was over. Pikachu had successfully struck out Hiroshi, and Ash, naturally, rushed onto the field in boundless excitement. He picked up Pikachu, who had also fallen and was badly hurt, and spun around wildly. Ever since he could remember, ever since he knew Pokémon existed, ever since he knew about the Pokémon League in his Kanto region, Ash's wish had been to one day stand on this stage and become the star of the show. Now, just a year into his journey, Ash has already achieved his long-cherished wish. How could he not be excited? How could he not be thrilled? In contrast to Ash, his opponent, Hero, looked utterly dejected. Defeated? Just like that? He prepared so much, put in so much effort, and still lost? Even in a field completely in his favor, Pikachu still managed to achieve a miraculous 1-versus-3 victory. As the background, Hero couldn't accept this cruel reality. Why was the gap so vast? From a young age, he had always been the most outstanding among his peers. Hero had experienced defeat before, but never so humiliatingly, never so pathetically. Alice, seeing Ash celebrating, and hearing the thunderous cheers and applause from the sidelines, Hero had to accept the fact. He had lost. Alright. Get ready, it's our turn. The dramatic match ended, and Pikachu once again refreshed the Elite Four's perception of it. Standing on lightning, treading on thunder. This is the Pikachu. Holy crap. Even the Elite Four members probably haven't heard of something like this. Pikachu. Unlike Ash's excitement, Mu Chen nearly went berserk. Damn it. Didn't I win the league championship? Why won't this mission be completed? System. Can't you think straight? Why do you have to make me complete that damn champion road and defeat that pathetic Samurach? Is this some kind of ripoff? Can't you just give me the reward directly? Fine. Just give me another champion road mission. What's with this nonsense? At this moment, Mu Chen was filled with indignation. I'm not a donkey, do you have to dangle a carrot in front of me? Unfortunately, the system remained aloof from Mu Chen's cries, ignoring his inquiries no matter how much he asked. Now, let us welcome the esteemed 4 Heavenly Kings to present the award to the champion. Just as Mu Chen was still struggling with the system in his mind, the host's voice rang out again. Clearly, the 4 Heavenly Kings, fully prepared, made their grand entrance. The simultaneous appearance of the 4 Heavenly Kings was a major event in the Kanto region. After all, these 4 represented the highest power and authority in the Kanto region. As for the league tournament champion, it was merely an honor, something everyone understood. Of course, the title of champion wasn't given lightly. Beyond the honor, the champion could continue to challenge. The path to the champion was to challenge for the Kanto Regional Championship. Only by achieving this could one truly be called the Kanto champion. However, while there had been many league tournament champions throughout history, in the past decade, no one had successfully traversed the path to the champion and ultimately challenged the established champions. Samurach's ability to become the Kanto Regional Champion was certainly not without merit. Ash. Congratulations on becoming the champion of our Kanto League tournament. Your Pikachu is excellent. Seeing Ash's excited expression, Lorelei, representing the Elite Four, spoke up. Thank you, Elite Four member Lorelei. Ash naturally returned the compliment with excitement upon receiving praise from the Ice-type Elite Four member. Pikachu, holy crap. This is an Elite Four member. I can't take it anymore. Hearing Lorelei's voice, Mu Chen was also drawn over. Upon seeing her, Mu Chen was excited. Holy crap. He'd seen many beautiful women since arriving in this world, but such charm and allure were truly a first. Jessie, Erica, Sabrina, even the female ninja Lingzi. Compared to Lorelei, they were simply not in the same league. No wonder she's an Elite Four member. Her level is completely different from theirs. Looking at the mature and charming bespectacled girl in front of him, Mu Chen immediately perked up. Putting everything else aside, it's pleasing to the eye, isn't it? Since reaching the top 8 of the league tournament, Mu Chen has practically lived the life of an ascetic. As the tournament progresses, Lingzi's visits have become less frequent. Mu Chen remarked that, apart from Nina from the semifinals, he hadn't seen any other trainers for several days. However, this guy was unaware that as his gaze fell upon Lorelei, several of the top figures from the Kanto region immediately noticed something amiss. Ash, now we need to ask you, do you intend to pursue the champion path and ultimately challenge champion Samurach to become the true champion of the Kanto region? This has been a tradition for years. Each league tournament champion has the right to choose whether or not to challenge the final champion path. However, Most league tournament winners have chosen to forego it. The league tournament and the champion path challenge are simply on different levels. The main purpose of the league tournament is merely to cultivate new trainers and provide a stage for young trainers to showcase their talents. The champion path, on the other hand, involves true power. Without absolute certainty, no one would choose to challenge the champion path. That would only invite ridicule, and even the prestige gained from winning the league championship would be affected. However, Ash was certainly not among these people. The path to the championship? A challenge. Of course I'll challenge it. My goal is to become the world's #1 Pokémon trainer. Faced with Lorelai's question, Ash gave an exceptionally firm and affirmative answer. Lorelai and the other Elite Four were not surprised by Ash's choice. With a Pikachu comparable to an Elite Four member, not challenging it would be the mark of a madman. Chapter 346 seems like he's grown up? Ha ha ha. Misty, look. This is the championship trophy. I've finally become the Kanto region champion. Ash, having left the tournament arena and the contestant area, finally reunited with Misty. Seeing his partner, Ash didn't hesitate, immediately lighting up the trophy and starting his boasting mode. Alright. I saw it. It's all thanks to Pikachu. Seeing Ash's excited expression, Misty slapped her forehead speechlessly. What's with all the excitement? If it weren't for Pikachu's incredible performance, you'd probably be crying your eyes out. Haha. Pikachu is my Pokémon, isn't it? However, Misty's theory clearly didn't work on Ash. Pika, Mu Chen didn't care how Ash celebrated. At this moment, what mattered most to him was Misty's warm embrace. Damn it. I've missed you so much. Pikachu, missed me? I missed you too. Although she could see Pikachu at the competition, Xiaoxia had never been separated from Pikachu for so many days. After several days apart, not only Mu Chen, but Xiaoxia herself missed this little rascal terribly. Although the little rascal who had jumped into her arms was starting to get restless, Xiaoxia decided to tolerate it because they hadn't seen each other for so long. Xiaoxia. I heard from Elite Four member Lorelai that I need to prepare for 2 days before challenging the Victory Road. But you can come with me to the Victory Road. Do you want to go? Ash wasn't concerned about the interaction between Pikachu and Xiaoxia. At this moment, his mind was already filled with the Victory Road challenge 2 days later. The Victory Road. The highest hall that only the league champion was qualified to challenge. Just thinking about being able to challenge the Victory Road made Ash's brain, which hadn't had much rest for 2 days, excited again. Go. Of course I'll go. Xiaoxia naturally gave an affirmative answer to Xiaoxi's seemingly idiotic question. She'd only been away from Pikachu for a few days, and she already missed it terribly. How could she bear to part with it now? Xiaoxia hadn't felt this deeply before. But only after truly separating did Xiaoxia realize just how much weight Pikachu held in her heart. Xiaoxia knew she probably couldn't be separated from this little rascal for the rest of her life. However, what troubled Xiaoxia was that this little rascal was actually that idiot starter Pokémon. Before, the chances of getting it through trading or directly were slim, and now that this rascal had helped Xiaoxia achieve his long-cherished wish, the chances were even more remote. Mu Chen, of course, was unaware of Xiaoxia's worries. At this moment, he was already immersed in the warm embrace of the young lady. It's only been a few days, but why does this girl seem so grown up? Holy crap. Was I imagining things? In a daze, Mu Chen noticed some subtle differences. It's only been a few days? It can't be this fast. No way. I have to confirm this. Previously, Mu Chen had only noticed the apparent change after accidentally touching it. Now, having made up his mind, he was definitely going to be ruthless. His little hand shot out. Pikachu. You bastard. Xiaoxia had been able to tolerate it before, but this time it was absolutely intolerable. This was too much? This was too much? This was on the street. Even if Ash, that idiot, wouldn't notice, with people coming and going, who would see her? Would Xiaoxia ever be able to face anyone again? Pika. Holy crap. Was it really necessary? I didn't mean to take advantage of you. I was just doing this out of a spirit of research, in the name of great science. However, even Mu Chen himself didn't believe what he said. Damn it. She's really grown up. Before, he was always with this little girl, and he hadn't even noticed. Now that they were apart, it was really different. At this moment, Mu Chen was certain that Xiaoxia had indeed grown up. Although the growth wasn't dramatic, it was still a good sign, wasn't it? It meant that Xiaoxia, this little peach, was gradually maturing. Speaking of which, this little girl is probably 14 or 15 now, right? Does that mean that in another year or two, I can eat her up? This was what Mu Chen was most concerned about. While Xiaozhi and Xiaoxia reunited, and Mu Chen shamelessly engaged in scientific research, the Elite Four members in the Tower of Kings once again began discussing Pikachu. The champion road starts tomorrow, right? Then, I'll take on the first battle tomorrow. The so-called champion road is a passage deep within the Indigo Plateau leading to the summit. And Xiaozhi is about to embark on this journey. On this road, Xiaozhi will encounter challenges from the Elite Four. Only by defeating his opponents can he continue. Of course, since this is also an activity focused on performance, the Elite Four don't use their full strength. In most cases, the Elite Four just use some second-tier Pokémon to put on a show with this champion road challenger. However, this time, because of Pikachu's presence, the Elite Four were serious. Pikachu's offensive capabilities rivaled those of the Elite Four, making it a formidable opponent. Even the Elite Four would be itching to battle it. When Ash finally reached the summit after completing the champion road, he would challenge the veteran champion Samurhench to determine the ultimate Kanto champion. If Ash won, he would become a powerful Kanto champion, a high-ranking figure in the Kanto region. Although power in the Kanto region was currently largely held by the Elite Four, and even by Agatha Christie and Lance, this title would essentially grant Ash immunity from punishment. In the Kanto region, Agatha Christie and the others would have even less chance of attacking him. After all, in the eyes of the people, both Agatha Christie, an Elite Four member, and Ash, a champion, represented the Kanto region. If their own people were to fight, Agatha Christie would only suffer a tarnished reputation. Since you want to go first, then go for it. Shiba, don't hold back, give this Pikachu a good test. Our Kanto champion isn't just anyone, of course, the one who least wanted Ash to win was Agatha. Although the old woman already had a backup plan, and even if Ash became champion, she had ways to deal with him, Agatha said she absolutely wouldn't mind avoiding that trouble if it meant she could. Chapter 347 Embarking on the Road to Victory. Ladies and gentlemen, trainers of the entire Kanto region, our league champion, Ash, is now embarking on the champion road to Indigo Plateau. Let's all watch the broadcast and see if our champion Ash can finally reach the summit. After a night's rest, Ash, along with Pikachu and Misty, set off on his journey to the champion road. Over the next few days, Ash needs to complete the entire champion road and finally reach the summit to challenge Samurhench. Of course, since this is a major event for all the people of Kanto, Ash's entire journey is being filmed by drones. The people of Kanto will learn about their league champion Ash's challenge to the champion road through the footage captured by drones. Misty, haha, just you wait and see. I will definitely complete the champion road and challenge Samurhench to win the final championship. After another sleepless night, Ash is still full of energy. Seeing Ash's state, Mu Chen roughly knows that this guy probably won't stop until he finishes the champion road. Mu Chen doesn't care about this situation. Although it had been several days since he'd sparred with his cheerleading squad, with a drone buzzing around him, Mu Chen simply didn't have the courage to perform in front of the entire Kanto region. He'd just have to endure it. Anyway, he slept soundly last night. Because he'd been separated from Xiaoxia for several days, she didn't refuse Pikachu's request this time. Of course, issuing a warning to the rascal was a must. His upper body was completely exposed, and Xiaoxia had basically given up on defense. But his lower body was absolutely crucial. After all, Pikachu, that little rascal, was still a Pokémon. Even though her heart was completely filled with this rascal, Xiaoxia said she couldn't accept it. But how could Xiaoxia know that Mu Chen wasn't in a hurry at all? HMPH. The road to champions, huh? The challenge of the Champions Peak, huh? Once I conquer them all, the main quest will be complete. Then, Of course, Xiaoxia is still young, and Mu Chen wouldn't be in such a hurry to do anything to her. After all, it's not good for her health if she's too young. However, cultivating their relationship and letting this little girl know that she'll become his girl sooner or later is something that must be done. Xiaozhi, the champion road involves challenging our Elite Four, right? The Elite Four are incredibly powerful in the Kanto region. Just thinking about Xiaozhi, this silly boy, Challenging such powerful beings makes Xiaoxia feel uneasy. Isn't it better to just win the league championship? Why do he have to keep challenging? However, as a girl, how could Xiaoxia understand Xiaozhi's ambition? Haha. Don't worry, Xiaoxia. Pikachu is so strong, we won't fail. Through the previous league tournament, Xiaozhi, this silly boy, finally knows just how powerful his Pikachu is. He's full of confidence for the Champion Road Challenge. Ash. I am Shiba, the Fighting Elite Four member. Today, I will face you in our first battle. Are you ready? The victory road isn't very long. Ash hadn't even gone far before encountering the first Elite Four member guarding the entrance, Shiba. The reason the victory road takes several days to complete is due to the intensity of the battles. There are no Pokemon centers here to provide healing and recovery. Therefore, to progress, one must consider the stamina and condition of their Pokemon. Of course, the league's victory road isn't going to let a challenger fight for a year. The Elite Four members don't have time to waste on this, right? Therefore, the maximum time limit for the victory road challenge is 5 days. If you cannot complete the victory road within 5 days, the challenge will be considered a failure. Elite Four member Shiba. Please accept my challenge. What are your rules? Each Elite Four member has their own unique rules. Some are normal Pokemon battles, while others test the challenger's abilities in a specific area. Generally, in these performance-oriented challenges, the Elite Four members would simply choose to test their abilities and move on. However, due to their previous discussion, and because of this Pikachu, the Elite Four members ultimately decided to fight it. Ha. My rules are simple. Let's battle. If you can defeat my Pokemon, you can continue. The previous agreement was that each person would send one of their main Pokemon, and Shiba, being a practical person, chose a direct battle of main Pokemon against main Pokemon. Win and you continue, lose and you go back where you came from. A one-on-one battle? No problem. Then, my Pokemon will be you, Pikachu. Of course, Ash wouldn't be foolish enough to send Melodic or anything like that to a one-on-one battle. He was joking. If he lost and had to go home, wouldn't he be devastated? Haha. Very good. Young people should have this kind of drive. Then let me show you my Pokemon. Come forth, my warrior, Machamp. As a Fighting Elite Four member, Shiba's main Pokemon are naturally fighting type. And his most powerful one is this Machamp, which is nearly 2 meters tall. Neck off, with a loud howl, Machamp appeared in front of Shiba, waving its 4 thick arms. Pikachu, what a load of crap. Just because it's big doesn't mean it's invincible. Seeing Machamp enter the fray, Mu Chen didn't hesitate. In a flash, Mu Chen sprang out of Misty's arms and arrived in front of Machamp. This guy should be easy to deal with. Mu Chen had already defeated one in the previous fighting tournament without using electric shock. Facing Machamp now, Mu Chen felt no pressure. HMPH. I'll make sure you can't even touch a hair on its head. Ha. Choosing to go first was definitely the right decision. Pikachu's really energetic. As a battle maniac, Shiba wasn't much of a schemer. In his eyes, only battle mattered. And that's why he volunteered to go first. Pikachu hadn't been through a fierce battle yet, so its condition was naturally at its best. Only a battle against a Pikachu in this state would be truly exhilarating. As for winning or losing, did it matter? Then, please enlighten me. Elite Four member Shiba, a fighting spirit burned in Shiba's eyes. Ash's eyes burned with an equally intense flame. Clearly, these two had hit it off. Chapter 348 Unbanned. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, Ash gave the first attack command. Pikachu, Thunderbolt? No problem. Shiba summoned Machamp, a champion-level Pokemon, but its biggest weakness was its pure melee combat style. Without the system's restrictions, Mu Chen certainly wouldn't be so reckless as to engage in some ridiculous power struggle with Machamp. Not using a ranged special attack would be foolish. Sizzle, cough, a champion-level Pokemon lived up to its name. Machamp swung its 4 arms and actually cleaved the oncoming Thunderbolt in 2. Pikachu, holy crap. You can do that? This was the first time Mu Chen had ever seen someone actually cleave Thunderbolt in 2. This guy, as expected of a champion-level Pokemon, really has some skill. Ha. How about that? Did you see that? This is a champion-level Pokemon. Now it's my turn to attack. Machamp, charge. Use Cross Chop. Shiba was clearly very satisfied with Machamp's performance. Seeing Ash and Pikachu stunned, Shiba immediately gave the attack command. Neck off, a loud roar rang out, and Machamp charged towards Pikachu at a speed far exceeding that of ordinary Pokémon. Pikachu used agility to dodge its attack. Seeing Machamp charge, Ash instinctively chose to have Mu Chen retreat. This was champion-level Machamp. Its melee combat ability was undoubtedly monstrous. With Pikachu's small frame, Ash definitely didn't think he could withstand that charge. Pika, however, this time Mu Chen didn't choose to obey Ash's command. Through continuous victories, Mu Chen had long since forged his own heart of a strong man. Now, facing a mere champion-level Pikachu, Mu Chen was unwilling to back down. After all, Xia Oxia was right beside him. With the transformation into human drawing ever closer, Mu Chen also had the urge to show off in front of his women. HMPH. Darling, watch your brother perform a spectacular Pikachu transformation. His body moved at will. The instant Mu Chen made his decision, his body suddenly swayed. Immediately, more than 10 Pikachus, identical in shape, form, and even movement to Mu Chen, appeared around him. This was a skill Mu Chen had never used during the league tournament, Shadow Clone. Cough, having just rushed in front of the Pikachu, intending to unleash a powerful attack, Mu Chen was dumbfounded upon seeing the dozen or so identical Pikachus before him. What the hell? What's going on? Is this Shadow Clone? A normal Shadow Clone just creates a few illusory images, right? This is some kind of secret technique. Multiple Shadow Clone, Pikachu, however, Mu Chen wasn't going to explain anything to this silly kid. Without a word, taking advantage of Machamp's momentary daze, Mu Chen unleashed a Thunder Wave. HMPH. Against these melee fighters, Thunder Wave was the most effective attack method. Cough, the Thunder Wave entered his body, and a strong paralyzing sensation struck, causing Machamp to let out a painful roar. Machamp, use Bulk Up to withstand the Thunder Wave. Then use Super Impact to shatter all these clones. Seeing Machamp subdued by Pikachu in just one round, Shiba was surprised. Originally, with a test in mind, Shiba didn't intend to give Machamp much command in the battle. He thought that even if his Machamp failed, it would definitely make Pikachu look terrible. But who would have thought that Pikachu's Shadow Clone was used so skillfully? And it even cleverly used Thunder Wave on Machamp. Seeing this situation, Shiba could only start giving Machamp commands. There was no other way. If Machamp wasn't given a hint on how to fight, he was afraid he'd be completely crushed. This was in front of the entire Kanto region, and he, Shiba, couldn't afford to lose face like that. Cough, having received his trainer's hint, Machamp recovered from his panic. After letting out a cry, Machamp's muscles suddenly bulged. This was the boost-type move, Bulk Up. With a boost from Bulk Up, Machamp resisted the electromagnetic interference. Then, like a heavy-duty road roller, Machamp charged towards the dozen or so Pikachu phantoms. Pikachu, however, Machamp and his trainer, Shiba, were quickly dumbfounded again. Faced with this road roller-like charge, Mu Chen certainly wouldn't stubbornly try to take it head-on. But, as Mu Chen moved, his phantoms moved along with him, and their movements and expressions remained indistinguishable from the real ones. What? How is this possible? Seeing this, Shiba finally showed a look of astonishment. The fact that Shadow Clone could reach such a level meant that this Pikachu's speed had reached its limit, and even its coordination had reached its limit. Otherwise, if its speed frequency changed even slightly, the phantoms summoned by Shadow Clone would reveal flaws. However, what was presented to Shiba now was flawless. Pikachu, damn it. During the league tournament, you shamelessly restricted your skill usage, and now you're not restricting it anymore? After a brief test, Mu Chen also knew the approximate strength of this Machamp. It was indeed a champion-level Pokémon, but it was still a beast. Without a trainer's command, its combat power was just so-so. Losing interest in testing it, Mu Chen decisively entered charging mode. HMPH. Machamp? Taste my black electric ball. Previously, because of the league's shameless ban, Mu Chen couldn't use Mega Electric Ball. Now, there's no such nonsense about a ban anymore. Initially, Mu Chen only used Mega Volt in the preliminary rounds. There were too few spectators to see it, so it didn't cause much of an impact. Later, he only used Mega Thunder, which caused a slight disturbance. Now, Mu Chen planned to take this opportunity to show off to the people of Kanto, letting them know just how powerful this champion Pikachu really is. Besides, this would also make those who wanted to cause trouble hesitate. Pika Pika, high-speed movement activated, and quick attack was launched. Ignoring the clones that had become vulnerable due to his change in frequency, Mu Chen leaped high into the air towards Machamp. Then, with a flick of his tail, a dark ball of electricity appeared in midair. Chapter 349 Showdown with Kona. You're strong. In a one-on-one fight, I'm no match for you. A power ball was unleashed, and even though Machamp dodged, it was still blasted away by the blast's shockwave. Seeing Machamp's stamina greatly reduced, Shiba smiled wryly and recalled it. Just as Shiba said, in a one-on-one fight, Shiba was no match. However, Shiba's words also revealed another layer of meaning. That is, in a group battle, Shiba could easily defeat Ash. The Elite Four members don't just have one Elite Four level Pokémon. However, the Elite Four had already agreed that each would send out one of their main Pokémon, and Shiba naturally wouldn't go back on his word. Ha ha ha. Thank you for your guidance, Elite Four member Shiba. Ash was naturally extremely excited to have so easily defeated the fighting Elite Four member Shiba. At this rate, it seemed he could continue for a while and challenge the next one. Although the Champion Road had a 5-day time limit, Ash would definitely not delay in completing it as soon as possible. Pikachu, Ash didn't want to delay, and neither did Mu Chen. Their dream of becoming human was getting closer. Who the hell wanted to waste time on this? Ash. Can't you rest for a bit? However, there were still dissenting voices in the team. Misty understood Ash's feelings, but she couldn't accept his relentless pace. Couldn't he at least rest a little? They set off early this morning, embarked on the Champion Road, and challenged Hibari. After defeating Hibari, he didn't even offer a break, immediately continuing on his way? Good heavens. It was already close to noon, and Misty hadn't even had breakfast yet. Unfortunately, Ash had entered Ironhead mode, and no amount of calling from Misty would deter him. Ash? I didn't expect you to arrive here so quickly. What, you're not planning to rest before challenging me? Amidst Misty's complaints, Ash finally dragged her to the location guarded by Lorelei in the second stage. That's right. Elite Four member Lorelei, accept my challenge. After nearly a day of travel, even the energetic Ash was exhausted. However, when he saw Lorelei, Ash's previously depleted energy was restored to full strength. Of course, Ash wasn't attracted to Lorelei's beauty. He was only after this challenge. Pikachu, holy crap. It's you again, you bespectacled beauty. Ash wasn't the only one who regained his energy. Upon seeing Lorelei, Mu Chen also perked up. If Mu Chen were to rank the beauties in this world, excluding Misty, this bespectacled beauty would be the most beautiful in his eyes. Pikachu, however, Mu Chen forgot that Misty was right beside him. When Ash won the league championship, Mu Chen had given Lorelei a lecherous look. Others might not have noticed, but how could Misty, who knew Mu Chen's nature so well, not see it? Aksha had watched it live and could only grit her teeth in frustration. Later, after they reunited, she forgot about it. But now, this guy dared to make that face in her arms? Aksha thought, absolutely not. Hell, your Pikachu is really energetic. Well then, I accept your challenge. The rules are the same, defeat one of my Pokémon, and you can move on. Looking at the Pikachu in Aksha's arms, Lorelei made a double entendre. Alright. Then, it's you, Pikachu. Of course, Ash was unaware of the subtle interactions between Pikachu, Aksha, and Lorelei. At this moment, the unfortunate boy's eyes were already filled with the flames of battle. Only battle was Ash's pursuit. Then, I'll use you, Jinx. Since the match had begun, Lorelei wouldn't hold back. However, after she summoned her Pokémon, Mu Chen was in trouble. Pika, what the hell? Jinx? Is it really that brutal? Seeing Lorelei summon that African giant sister, and seeing Jinx's fiery red lips, Mu Chen's heart trembled. Holy crap! Why did you have to summon this monstrous thing? Lorelei. How could such a beautiful woman have such poor taste? Jinx. Seeing the Jinx summoned by Lorelei, Mu Chen wasn't the only one panicked. Even Ash, the usually clueless guy, showed a rare look of astonishment. You see, since he got Pikachu, his only defeat was against that Jinx in the snowy mountains. Thinking of the Jinx's immense power and Pikachu's pathetic state on those snowy mountains, Ash couldn't stay calm. Good heavens! A wild Jinx on the snowy mountains could defeat Pikachu. Then, this Jinx belonging to Lorelei, the Elite Four member? Wouldn't it be even more powerful? What? Are you surprised by my Jinx? So, do you still want to fight? Of course, you can also choose to rest for a day first. Seeing Ash and Pikachu's expressions, Lorelei was also full of questions. What's going on? Is it really that serious? Jinx isn't even their strongest Pokémon. His Pikachu can easily defeat Sheba's Machamp, so facing Jinx shouldn't be too much of a challenge, right? Why are they so surprised? Lorelei even vaguely sensed that Ash was showing a slight hesitation. Lorelei really couldn't understand this situation. In the judgment of the Elite Four, Ash was a headstrong kid who only thought about fighting and never backed down. To put it nicely, he was born to fight. To put it bluntly, he was a complete idiot. But even this kind of clueless idiot would show hesitation? However, how could Lorelei know that Pikachu's pitiful state during that battle on the snowy mountain had left a very deep impression on Ash? Rest? No. I want to fight. Pikachu, I believe in you, you can do it. Awakened by Lorelei's question, Ash's hesitant gaze hardened once more. Back down? Impossible. The word back down didn't exist in Ash's dictionary. The last defeat was an accident. Ash believed that after this period of training, Pikachu's strength had improved considerably. Even if this Jinx was incredibly powerful. Even if this Jinx was a champion-level Pokémon in Lorelei's hands, Pikachu would definitely defeat it. Chapter 350 It's the Jekyll sister again. Pikachu. Use Thunderbolt. Jinx. Use Ice Beam. Ash ultimately chose to battle, and Lorelei, of course, wouldn't hold back either. As a first probing attack, Lorelei's response to Pikachu's Thunderbolt was Ice Beam. Boom, the two moves collided, and a violent explosion echoed in the sky. Clearly, in this first probing attack, Mu Chen's Thunderbolt didn't gain any advantage. In Lorelei's view, this situation was perfectly acceptable. Jinx's forte wasn't any special attack. Close combat was Jinx's most proficient attack method. However, Lorelei didn't know that Ash was even more satisfied with this probing attack than she was. Previously, intimidated by Jinx's strength, Ash was genuinely unsure of himself. But after this round of moves clashing, Ash discovered that Lorelei's Jinx seemed to be weaker than the one from the Great Snow Mountain. Back in the snowy mountains, that Jinx completely overwhelmed Pikachu. However, how could Ash, that simpleton, know that Mu Chen's mindset back then was completely different from now? Facing that Jinx, Mu Chen was destined to lose, even if he wasn't defeated. But against Lorelei, Mu Chen had no mercy. Although Mu Chen did show a hint of surprise when he first saw Jinx, it was just curiosity about why a beauty like Lorelei would choose to use a Pokémon like Jinx. When it came to a real battle, how could Mu Chen be afraid? HMPH. Anyway, even if he beat that simpleton Ash, he couldn't possibly capture this thing, so he had no pressure at all. Pikachu, attack. Use Electric Ball. Knowing Jinx's strength, Ash no longer held back. Through a period of battle, Ash also discovered that the Electric Ball move could unleash its powerful effects against Pokémon that weren't too fast. With such a super move, how could Ash not use it? Pikachu, Mu Chen didn't object to Ash's request. Electric Ball? Let's get started. High-speed movement boost, quick attack activated. Holy crap. What the hell? Just as Mu Chen was about to get into Parker mode, a frost-covered Iron Fist suddenly appeared in front of him. This was Jinx's signature move, Ice Punch. As a champion-level Pokémon, Jinx naturally possessed its own strengths. The strength of Machamp lay in its terrifying frontal attack ability. And Lorelei's Jinx's strength lay in its ability to use Psychic-type moves, Teleport. Through Teleport, Jinx compensated for its lack of speed. It was through Teleport that Lorelei's Jinx launched a surprise attack on Mu Chen. Bang! Pikachu, without any preparation, and before Quick Attack could even be activated, Mu Chen was struck hard in the handsome face by Jinx's Ice Punch. Pikachu, seeing Pikachu get knocked away by Jinx's punch, Ash's buried painful memories resurfaced. No way? Is Pikachu going to lose again? Good heavens! What kind of Pokémon is Jinx? The Pokédex says it's relatively rare, but why does it look like a legendary Pokémon to me? Having encountered Jinx twice in a row, and with both opponents being so powerful, Ash was bewildered. Jinx, keep attacking. Jinx's punch was effective, and Lorelei certainly wouldn't hold back and wait for Pikachu to get up. Without any hesitation, Lorelai gave Jinx the attack command again. Jinx, with Lorelai's command, Jinx transformed into a blur, instantly appearing beside the still unable to get up Pikachu. Pika Pika, damn it. You ugly thing, stay away from me. Seeing Jinx's fiery red lips close again, Mu Chen's hair stood on end in shock. Damn it, why are there such disgusting creatures in this world? Without a word, Mu Chen pushed off with his hind legs, awkwardly dodging Jinx's pink fist attack range. Damn it, if it were a Gardevoir level little wench, I could tolerate her little fists punching my chest. But you ugly thing, go somewhere cool. Mu Chen dodged, but Lorelai wasn't going to let it go so easily. Jinx, teleport, then use Demon Kiss. While Demon Kiss doesn't have much offensive power, it can put the target to sleep. Clearly, Lorelai had also realized that Pikachu is too fast. Without limiting its speed, defeating it was impossible. Even if Pikachu had strong willpower and Demon Kiss couldn't put it to sleep, it could still greatly reduce Pikachu's speed and disrupt its thinking, right? However, while this skill seemed harmless to Lorelai, it was a nuclear attack to Mu Chen. Pikachu Pikachu, holy crap. Help. He barely dodged when that disgusting Jinx appeared in front of him. And that wasn't all. What was with that pouty mouth? One bite of those fiery red lips, and I'd be dead. Mu Chen thought that if he were hit by that skill, he'd be utterly doomed. Pikachu. Don't be afraid. Counterattack. That skill has no attack power. Your willpower is very strong, Demon's Kiss won't bother you. Through his Pokédex, Ash knew what Demon's Kiss was. When he discovered it was just a hypnotic skill, he immediately gave Pikachu an attack command. Pikachu could withstand hypnosis, so Demon's Kiss shouldn't be a problem either. Seeing Pikachu fleeing in a sorry state, Ash was utterly bewildered. Was it really necessary? A Devil's Kiss, and you're this scared? But how could that idiot Xiao know that Mu Chen wasn't afraid of the Devil's Kiss at all? What he feared was those fiery red lips. Pikachu, damn it. This is too much? Just because Pikachu doesn't show its power doesn't mean I'm some kind of yellow-skinned rat. No matter how he dodged, this Jinx relentlessly pursued him. Finally, Mu Chen snapped. Zzz. Without a word, Mu Chen unleashed a furious 100,000-volt attack at himself. Yes, Mu Chen's target was himself. Damn it. I'm surrounded by electricity now, go ahead and kiss me. Come on, kiss me. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all, see you in the next video.